What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio, Commander Rio, checking in with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel. Training camp is underway, and I'm coming with the big dogs tonight. You see two present right here. We still waiting on one more, Louie T in the building. But right now, I got my boy repping from Georgia, my boy Scores Rico in the building. What's going on, my guy?
What's good, man? How's everybody feeling? I'm excited, man. Football is back.
Bruh, it is back. Like, we get constant stories and updates going forward. My guy, Ed Oliver, the real Ed Oliver, former basketball player. I'm sure he's dunking on anyone in the content creator community. What's good, my guy?
What's good, man? Thank you for having me on. Street, he tagged the phony Ed Oliver on Twitter this morning, but it's all good.
When I was working out, we got like an outside gym, and I was like in the sun, and I was trying to hurry up. Then my phone spazzed. I was like, whatever, just send it.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Waiting on one more. Louie coming in a second, but until he gets here, let's go ahead and talk, man. Camp is underway. We're finally getting some real football to talk about. We could put to the side all this jersey, helmet color, trivial fan nonsense, and we could get to football. And last up on the panel, who else could it be but our guy Louie T? Welcome to the show, big dog.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Man.
We lovely, man. This is our time. It's our time to shine. It's our time to thrive. And to open up training camp, I couldn't think of a better way than to have the three pillars of this Washington creator community. Four brothers in here who bleed burgundy and gold to the death of us. Starting off, this offseason feels different than a normal offseason here. For you, I'll let you know why I think so. I'll start with Lou. Why does this offseason, does the optimism of this offseason feel legit? Like, really something to believe in? And what's the difference between this offseason and the usual?
Well, for starters, I mean, obviously having a quarterback with the talent and the skill set of a Carson Wentz changes everything. So I think you start there. We haven't had, a quarterback capable of doing the things that he can do probably since 2012. And we haven't had competent quarterback play since 2017. So I mean, you're talking about a position that really dominates the NFL. It's the most important position in all of, I call it all of sports, but all of team sports and all of the NFL. So that you start there. I feel like the schedule is very advantageous. You look at the schedule, the way it's set up. We don't play back-to-back road games until weeks 10 and 11. And we play arguably two of the softer divisions in all of football. Now, obviously, we're basing that off of last year. We don't know what these teams are going to be this year, but I feel good about playing against Jacksonville. I feel good about playing against Houston and a couple of second-year quarterbacks. Add another second-year quarterback in Justin Fields in Chicago. I'm not afraid of the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. I mean, these are teams that you feel like you should be able to beat. So sprinkle in Atlanta and whoever is at quarterback by the time we get to them later in the season. It is a lot of optimism for what this team could potentially do this season. I mean, the roster is in a good space. We've been one of the worst offenses in football the last 3-4 years running. And to think about the prospects of being able to score up over 30 multiple times in a season is crazy. Like, we don't do that. You know what I mean? So just thinking about all the weapons that we have on offense and potentially being able to actually light up the scoreboard and put some crooked numbers up there. Everything seems like it's aligning. Obviously, we got to stay healthy, but it feels like a lot of the things that we haven't been able to say in the past, we're saying right now going into this upcoming season. And I think that's why the optimism is so high right now.
Oh, yeah. Ed, go ahead and.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what Lou said, I mean, we got Carson Wentz is the best quarterback we've had since Kirk Cousins. He's a competent quarterback. You hear what the media says. He just looks different. Like, the arm strength is different. We have a guy that we're not going to have to limit the offense too much to. We're going to be able to throw the ball downfield and get Terry down there, Jahan, Curtis. You got guys healthy right now, knock on wood. So, but I'm looking at it from the Ron Rivera aspect too. This is his team. All the guys from the previous regime are gone. And he compares his third year coming up to Carolina. So this is a big year for him. But this is the best roster that he's had so far by far. You have a legitimate offense. The draft, all his guys, he's drafted all his guys the last 3 years. You got Brian Robinson, you got Jahan, you got Mathis. This is his team. This is his roster. Coach, from the coaching staff to the front office, he has moved everybody out, and he's got all his guys and all his friends, buddies, and all that and whatnot. So this is a huge year for Ron. And like Lou said with the schedule, you can't lose to Desmond Ridder. You can't lose to Marcus Mariota. You can't lose to Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence. No disrespect to those guys.
Right.
But this is a layup. This is the easiest 2 games. They didn't set it. You know, they love to put us in Philly in the first week of the season. They love to do that. They love to put us in Dallas or wherever, NFC East game. They love doing that. They didn't do that to us this time. So they gave us a softer schedule, an easier start where you should start off 2-0, take care of business. You got the Eagles in the 3rd week. We'll see what happens there. But it's a layup schedule. And Ron got what he wanted. He made the move to get the quarterback that he wanted. He's made moves to get everybody that he's wanted. So this is basically Carolina Comanther, whatever you want to call it. This is the team that he has. So there's no excuses. I don't want to hear any COVID excuses. I don't want to hear any injuries excuses. None of it. This is the roster that he wanted, and the coaching staff in the front office. I keep saying it over and over, but this is Ron's team. This is what he wants. So he has to make it work. No
3 to 5 years to build a culture. It's year 3. It's time to see some results. Go ahead and close us out, Rico.
Yes, sir. So, of course, I echo the sentiments of what all of y'all have already said. But, I mean, to add to it, everything we went through last year, I mean, like Ed said, COVID injuries are not an excuse. But to win 7 games, Taylor Heineke's decent, but he's your quarterback the entire year. We had one of the tougher schedules in the NFL. It just seemed like everything was in place for us to lose. We had a nice little 4-game win streak. Then everything derailed after that. I think if we could just focus on the things that we did well during that 4-game win streak and everything that we brought in and added to this team beyond that, I think we should be really good. Because, I mean, we have a couple of good problems on the roster where we're like, which tight ends are we going to keep? Which receivers are honestly going to be like the best 3 or 4? I mean, we're having debates about who's going to be the 6th or 7th when just a couple of years ago, Dontrell Inman was like one of our top. So it's just, I mean, of course, technically every team you can say in general improves season to season. The real margins are how much more did you improve than the next team that improved. And I think we actually are one of those teams that took a bigger step. And of course, I mean, we finally have continuity. This is the same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator. So no excuses to slow starts. And like y'all already said, the schedule starts off. Nothing's easy in the NFL, especially when you haven't been able to win consistently like we have. But that's as easy as it gets. Like Louie said, the NFC South and AFC South, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better opponent schedule. And so you have to capitalize on this one because next year is not going to be any easier.
It's not going to be any easier because to close it out, we're going to win a division this year. And we're going to win 11 games for the first time in probably our lifetime as fans. Like, I want to know what it feels like to see a 1-1 in the win column. My God, I've never seen it. And I've never seen us win sporadically through the season. We always get hot late and go on a 7-game, 5-game, 4-game, 4 out of the last 5 games straight. We've never been good in September and just let it continue and matriculate through the rest of the season. The closest we got to that was the year Dustin Hopkins missed the bunny in London. And that year felt different. Like, we had a top 3-ish offense that year. Kirk was letting it fly. That felt like a year we may finally see it. And then inevitably we were let down. But it feels like this is the time we're able to wipe the slate clean of a lot of the past indiscretions of the franchise. New name, new uniforms, freshness. We have a competent, more than competent and capable quarterback in the building. There's no XFL number 2, no arm 5'7" quarterback playing for us who managed to get 7 wins out of that schedule for us last year. No Garrett Gilbert COVID games taking place this year. And
so we hope.
They put this thing together, man. Ron has been building it. I think we got a little excited when we moonwalked into a division title because Dak Prescott got hurt Ron's first year here. It feels right. It feels like this is the greatest influx of young talent we've assembled since Daniel the Dweeb bought the team in 99, and it feels like the pieces have finally come together for this to be a formidable team. But we're going to see. But I think 11-6 this year, and I think we are going to make some noise and shock some folks. Shout out to Joe Castles for the $4.99 super chat. He said, keep up the great video, boys. Go Commanders from San Antonio, Texas. Texas in the building, holding strong. Jay said, is this the Washington Commanders Fantastic Four? I love it. I love it. Cherish Me said, fire panel. But today, camp started. Not much big news coming out of camp because they announced the PUP list when the players reported yesterday. How concerned on a level of 1 to 10 are you that Antonio Gibson missed the first day of practice? Is it just precautionary, or do y'all think this is something we need to look out for? I'll start with Ed.
Was Gibby on the Eastern Motors commercial? I can't remember, but I saw
Curtis and Terry.
I saw Curtis doing the Eastern Motors commercial. So I think when I saw that, I was like, okay, he's good. He better be good if he's dancing on the Eastern Motors commercial. But yeah, Gibson, I don't think he did it, but either here nor there, I think Gibson will be fine. And it's a big reason why we got Brian Robinson too, is because he's gotten banged up a lot. Turf toe his rookie season, then the stress fracture his sophomore season. He missed it. He played through all those games, a lot of games where he was really, really hurt, where he probably should have sat, to be honest, but he played through that. So I got to give him credit for that. I give him a tough time for the fumbles and whatnot. But to answer the question, I wouldn't hit the panic button at all. I think it's an abundance of caution. It's not like he's on the side field like Curtis Samuel was last year a lot. So I'm not hitting the panic. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not hitting the panic button at all. It's the first day, and I don't see him playing in the preseason games either.
Okay, Rico.
Well, I mean, overall, over the past year, Ron Rivera has gained a lot of points in Rico's trust meter. But it's just something like the way that they had us going with the Curtis Samuel injury, just week to week, not knowing what's going on and trying to keep us optimistic. And then suddenly he barely played. And then after the last game of the season, he said, I'm fully healthy now. Like that helped us in any way. So it's hard for me to give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to injuries, but I think Antonio Gibson is the type of guy, like you already said, he can play through injuries, and I don't think this injury is that severe anyway. I think it is actually an abundance of caution. And we're just fine. If Antonio Gibson, for any reason, has to miss any time or he has to take limited snaps, I think this is a good enough running back group to where we're not going to, regret it and see like a big step back in offensive production.
Okay. Lou?
It's a -2. This is a non-story for me. He was on the command center today with Logan Paulson and Santana Moss.
Great interview.
Food is fine, man. Like, again, it's the first day of training camp. There's no reason. We're not even in pads. So for me, I'm just all about getting guys to the starting blocks. So at the end of the day, I could care less about what guys are doing in terms of, injuries. It's a mild injury concern. Ron was like, look, we're just being cautious with it. No reason to really panic. It's not even on the radar for me. This is a tough guy we're talking about too. A guy that's played through a myriad of injuries, shoulder, ribs, toe, shin, all kinds of things. He'll be fine. He'll be ready to go when it counts.
Absolutely. I think it's about a -1, -2 as well. I don't think it's a thing. That was a great interview on the command center today, by the way. I think it wouldn't surprise me also if Ron didn't say, you know what, let's let the rook take a bulk of the carries early on in camp. Let's get him acclimated into the offense. Gibson is the guy. He's the feature back here. And I mean, he's more explosive this year. He lost some weight. I remember me and my boy Jalen, we pointed it out a while back. We were like, Gibson isn't running at the pace that in the explosion that he did when he was at Memphis, because he put on that running back weight, and he probably put on a little bit more weight than he wanted to. He's getting used to being spry again. So, you know what I'm saying? He's moving faster than he's been moving the last couple years. So it's definitely probably precautionary. I don't really take any concerns about it. Next, we can go to Robert's question. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, how much of a leash should MAGA Jack get if the defense starts out with issues early on? Yeah, I added the MAGA Jack. I had to. Rico, what is leash looking like this year?
Well, me personally, his leash is shorter than I'm pretty sure than Ron Rivera feels. Like if we start off slow, I feel like they're gonna, base it on Chase Young either not playing or playing not 100%. You have new pieces where they're trying to feature Derek Forrest and Percy Butler into the defense. And so I think when in doubt, if they're gonna blame somebody, they're gonna blame like a rough start. I don't think it's gonna necessarily land on Jack Del Rio's blame. For me, again, personally, I have a very short leash with them, but I highly doubt Ron Rivera does.
Ed.
It should be short. I mean, he blamed last year's deficiencies on OTAs, and that's a terrible excuse. I mean, what is that in March and May and April or whatnot? You can't do that, and you can't have guys looking around and pointing a finger like last year when we saw Cordarrelle Patterson put up a hat trick on us. Darius Slayton wide open, Kenny Galladay wide open in the second game of the year. Like, that's unacceptable. This defense is way too talented for that to happen. He's got to get a pass rush going. I know Chase Young is out. He actually did better without Chase Young last year, so maybe he'll be even better than what he was last, which isn't great anyway. He should be on the hot seat. Guys got to develop, man. Jamin Davis has to look better. They're trusting in Cole Holcomb. The secondary's got to look a lot better. McCain, Curl, got to get a pass, and they're just the D line. Some of it's on the players, but some of it's on the coaching too. I feel like if we had Warren Sapp in there, that would help out too. But Jack Del Rio, man, I think the seat needs to be hot. Same goes for Scott Turner too, man. This coaching staff, they need to be put on notice, man. If these guys, all these first round picks we got, not playing up to expectations, Chase when he comes back later on, Montez, Deron, John, if they're not playing up to expectations, a lot of that, I feel like a lot of that's on Jack too. Some of the schemes, the zone, Keenan Allen saying I'm gonna go right here, and he still gets the first down.
Oh my God, that
Justin
third
Herbert,
and long. Oh my
Justin Herbert went 14 for 18 on third down. 14 for 18. It was ridiculous. Matt Ryan looked like 2011 Matt Ryan. Daniel Jones looking like Peyton Manning when he plays against us. It can't happen. It can't. If he lets Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff go out there and throw for 400, 300 yards, then Jack Del Rio, he should be on the hot seat.
Off the early in September. What's the leash looking like for you, Lou? Is he Teflon? Because Scott Turner just got him a nice little extension.
Right.
And Jack talks like he's Teflon. What's the leash looking like?
I agree with Rico, man. Honestly, if you're a fan, this is a make or break year for Jack, because I was so excited when we got him. When you're coming from Joe Barry and, smashing skulls and striking iron, with Greg Minuski, and you look at what we've been through to get a guy that's actually got chops in the league as a defensive coordinator, I was excited. I'm like, oh yeah, JDR is about to come in here and turn things around defensively. We got all these first round draft picks on the defensive line, and we got all these guys that we're excited about. He's about to make some noise with these boys, and he's not aggressive enough, too much soft zone coverage in obvious passing situations. Last year, he talked about, now we got William Jackson III. We can mix up coverages and we can be a little bit more aggressive. Aggressive when? Like, it doesn't, then when we do blitz, it's an obvious blitz where it's not hard to pick it up. We don't have any creativity. And so I've been frustrated with the usage of the guys up front. Like, we just run a basic standard, okay, Chase, your left defensive end, Montez, your right defensive end. And if you guys feel like switching, go ahead, switch whenever you feel like it. But, how about moving guys around, like not just twists and stunts and things of that nature? It's been hard to watch at times. And I think, looking at Ron's track record, he's not going to, throw Jack under the bus. He's not going to get rid of Jack. So I don't think the urgency is there necessarily with Jack, but obviously Ron wants to win. This is a big season for him. And so I think he is going to maybe hold some of these coaches to the fire a little bit more, but I still don't see Jack Del Rio being the one taking the brunt of the blame should the defense start slow. So it's frustrating, but as a fan, this is a big year for Jack, because if you don't get it done this year, if I don't feel like the defense is closer to the 2020 unit, because that's the kind of schedule we're playing this year.
Absolutely.
Last year you could understand if we took a step back defensively. We were playing one of the toughest schedules of quarterbacks in NFL history. I don't recall another team seeing the quarterbacks that we saw throughout the year last year. But to Ed's point, you can't be talking about lack of communication from OTAs as the reason why you having coverage busts in week 5 against the Saints. You got a guy running 40 yards down the field without anybody within 10 yards of him, and you still talking about lack of communication. That's some Greg Minuski shit. So I don't, at this point, I don't want to hear any excuses, especially from the defensive side, where there's more moving pieces and parts that we got to make sure fit together offensively. I'm not trying to hit it on the defensive side of the football. Figure it out. Get these guys playing good football. We're playing quarterbacks that we should be able to take advantage of, or at least confuse to some degree. This defense needs to look more like the 2020 unit that was carrying us and winning football games and shutting down opposing offenses, and less like the team we saw last year, especially at the beginning of the season. One thing working in Jack's favor is that the defense was playing better after the bye week. Really, right before the bye week against Green Bay, I thought is when they started to turn the tide defensively. So if they can get back to playing that kind of football, I think we'll be pleased with the results. But I think the leash is a lot shorter than it has been for Jack Del Rio. But we'll see if Ron's going to actually hold him to the fire or not.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off all three of y'all. The leash should be super short. I'm talking Jimmy Butler's hair before extension short. You know what I'm saying? He should get like a good month and a half to show something, because he has everything he needs on this defense. I mean, you can question the linebacker room, the depth at the cornerback position, but we have on paper what should be the most dominant front four in the league. We have a cornerback we're paying $14 million to be a man corner, and we're sitting his ass back 8 yards in the zone on first down. I don't understand. We need to put players in position to succeed. Mm-hmm. We draft a guy who shouldn't have went as high as he did in Jamin Davis, and then play him out of position the entire year because coach ego always comes into play. They always want to try to fit a square peg into a round hole because of my system, my scheme, instead of playing to the strengths of the players on the roster. Like, you have to swallow that pride and put people in the right place. Landon Collins, it took way too fucking long to get him at linebacker just because he don't like the word linebacker. I'm a safety. And that's why he's on the streets right now. We'll probably give him a call if they are struggling in camp. But they got to sack up. He needs to put his phone down, get the hell, never come back on the Twitter app again, and put his playbook in his hand and put these dudes in position to succeed, because his leash should be ridiculously short. Scott Turner has the benefit of the doubt that we've had a revolving door of ineptitude at the quarterback position ever since he got here. So we can't even really gauge or critique how well of a coordinator he is. You got all these first-round motherfuckers all over this defense, yet they come up short, and they've failed to play the draft position and expectations every season. It comes down to this. With Ron, it's like you're working a job. You get one of your boys a job with you, and he's fucking up on the job, and you're in a managerial position. You're like, damn, bro, like, you got to do better, but I can't fire my boy. And then you really have to look in the mirror like, yo, he's really holding the company back. If he don't show some significant progress, I'm going to have to come to him as a man, sit him down, crack a brew with him, and be like, look, bro, we got to move on, bro. We got to part ways and stop mixing business with pleasure, because we cannot put up with another year of this shit. Like, it has to improve. His leash should be short. I'm not sure it is, because Ron seems loyal as hell to his guys, and him and Jack go way back. Dorgun, appreciate you for the $5 super. He said we need to get off to a good start for once. I want to see 11 wins. I saw all 3 Super Bowl. Sad that we haven't had double-digit wins in forever. Since 2012, right? 10 years?
Correct.
RG3 season. Man. RG3 season was the last time we seen double-digit wins. We won 9 with Kirk at one time, but yeah, man,
and that was a terrible start too. That RG3 season, we started off with like 2-6,
3-6.
We went into the bye week 3-6, and Shanahan was punting on the season. He was talking about evaluating for next year. And Rob showed up, was like, evaluating for next year. We trying to win this year, and then they ran off 7 straight.
Hell yeah, man. I'm not used. Like I said, I want to know what those wins spread out over a 17-game schedule. We even get an extra game to have a shot at getting 11 wins, man. Tony P, appreciate you. Said thanks for hosting Commanders Royalty. Ed, our boys have birthdays coming up, so happy birthday to yours and congrats on your second. Lou, you already know.
Appreciate
Rico
it,
got a random stat. Oh, happy belated, by the way, Lou.
Appreciate it.
Happy belated, man.
Yes, sir. Happy belated. My guy just had a birthday, man. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. John with the $4.99 super say, I want to see better game planning and halftime adjustments from our coaching staff. I'd say for the most part, halftime adjustments, they've been a lot better than what we're used to. They're not on Jay Gruden levels where we just come out like extremely flat, but we start games flat. We need to come out faster. We need to come out with some energy. I remember sitting 7 rows back week 1 last year. Chase, Sweat, they looked gassed in the first quarter. I know it was hot as hell. I was about to have a heat stroke in the crowd, but dudes was coming for the oxygen mask 1 quarter in. Before Fitzpatrick saw his demise, I saw dudes coming to the sideline for oxygen. So I think we need to get games started faster. And y'all want to touch on this as well?
I mean, the faster start is imperative. I think that's and really for me, it's not even defensively. I feel like we need to start faster offensively. There were games last year where the defense came out and gave us a spark early. I mean, the Dallas game, I think Landon Collins got a pick off the Dak in the either the first possession or the second one. It was fairly early in that game. I remember the Saints game, Jameis Winston got picked off on the very first possession of the game. Like, we're getting great field position, and the offense does absolutely nothing with it. So I think defensively, I like how we've come out in a lot of these games. There have been games. I remember there was a streak there at one point where we were giving up a first drive touchdown or some kind of points on the opening possession. But I think the offense is where, the biggest issues have been. The defense was such a disappointment last year because we put so much emphasis on how good the defense was going to be, and then it wasn't. But the offense has been the main culprit. When you're scoring damn near 20 points a game, I think we scored 21 points a game. Who the hell you think you're going to beat consistently scoring 21 points a game? Like, this ain't 1996. So you got to be scoring 28, 29 points a game if you're serious about trying to win double-digit games. So I think the offense is where we've been lacking the most, especially starting games off. How good would it be to be up 14-0 on somebody? When do we ever do that? When's the last time you looked up
and then keep the lead?
Early stages of the second quarter, it's 14-3. It's 14-0. We up on somebody. It's rare that happens.
And when it does happen, that shit vanishes within the blink of an eye.
Quickly.
Snap your fingers. It's a tie game or it's a deficit.
I mean, think about the Tom Brady. Think about the Tampa Bay game. We picked Brady off twice in that game early on. Great field position. And we had to go for it on a fourth down just to not come away with 2 field goals. Like, it was crazy. We had the ball 3 times in Tampa Bay Buccaneers territory. We settled for 2 field goals. And the third time we had to go for it on 4th down just to not have to settle for a 3rd field goal. It was ridiculous. Like, the defense, there were times where the defense was outstanding early in ball games and the offense just didn't handle its end of the responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And to add to that, I completely agree. And I hate the word complimentary football, but like when the offense comes out and scores early,
right,
that allows Chase Young and those guys to do what they do best instead of worrying about stopping the run and the pass. If they could just focus on stopping the pass and focus on getting penetration and rushing the passer only while we have a lead, I think not only will they play better, but we'll see better stats. And yeah, I completely agree. I think it's on the offense more so than the defense. And when the offense goes out there and plays very well, it will definitely help the defense play way better.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed. I was going to you.
Yeah, no, there's some games we could have stole. I mean, look at Pat Mahomes was throwing the ball to us in the first half of that game. It was ridiculous. The Broncos game, if we just come out with a solid start, Bobby McCain drops an interception from Teddy B.
Packers game.
Yeah, the Packers game. So there's a lot of games where we did come out lackadaisical, where we just weren't fired up. And then the 4-game winning streak, like Rico said, the complimentary football where we were running the ball, playing keep away, we were winning ugly, but it just wasn't sustainable. Like Lou said, you got to put up points. You can't win games. Like we beat the Panthers like 24-23. The Raiders 17-15.
We won 2 games, 17-15. I don't even know
17-15.
if teams do that anymore. 2 games with the identical score 17-15? Are you kidding me? Like, that's crazy, man.
And they were all cardiac arrest type performances. It was never like, well, other than the Tampa game, because the Tampa game we were in control. I started to get nervous near the end because it is still God Brady at the end of the day. But the biggest enigma game for me was the Packers game. I'm not sure we punted once in that entire game and came away with 10 points. We lived on their side of the field and managed
Heineke with the slide, man.
You know, Heineke sliding at the 1. Gibson on their side of the field. Bro, we lived in their red zone and somehow ended up with 10 points. And I see people blaming the defense for that game. Like, no, we were in it to win that shit.
No, the defense was outstanding. That was our best defensive performance of the entire season. That performance against Green Bay, and that's the one where we were fully healthy, still Chase Young, still Montez Sweat. So, everybody wanted to point to, oh, we were better defensively without those guys. That was the best performance defensively of the season, and we squandered it because we were 0-5 in the red zone. Like, who goes 0-5 in the red zone? Blocked field goal. He slid. They said he was giving himself up. We went for it 3 times in the red zone, came away with 0 points, and he threw an interception in the end zone. Like, who does that in an NFL game? 0-5? Are you kidding me? Like, that game was so frustrating because the defense really shut down Aaron Rodgers. We turned it over. Gibson had a fumble. Heineke had a fumble first possession of the third quarter. That set up 2 of their scores. And then they went for it on the very first possession of the game. On a 4th down, Rodgers rolls out. Chase Young had terrible contain. He rolls out, throws back across his body to Devontae Adams, and he gets in the end zone. That was really the only offensive possession that they had that had any substance to it. We were really good defensively that day.
Yeah, we just failed offense. Like, honestly, it's challenging to be that inept that close to the goal line.
It is.
We lived on the goal line and came away with nada. I swear, the shit like that only happens here, man. Appreciate you, Duncan, for the $5 super chat. Everybody smash that like in the chat, by the way. We got 262 in the building right now. 2 days. Oh, this is Duncan. This is my Eagles guy. He said he made you cry once too, Lou. I'm gonna need you to defend that. Duncan said he made you cry in your chat one time. He's probably lying because that's what Eagles fans do.
Yeah, but come on now.
He said 2 days ago, Rio said Jalen Hurts was a great leader. Discuss. I said he's a great leader, and he checks the boxes in all categories of being a quarterback except his right arm because he cannot throw that motherfucker worth a damn. And that is what he's good between the ears, but that right shoulder is going to cost y'all a lot of games. Can't wait to see y'all week 3. Ralph, appreciate you for the $20 super. He said, my 4 good people, love y'all. Best team we've had in years. We're going to be good. These men ain't playing no games. God is great. Yes, he is. The Commanders are great. Hope so. Lou, Rico, and Rio, keep up the great work. We got you, my guy. It's time. It's time to apply pressure, and it's time for football to dominate the conversation. Rio thought he was slick spitting game with Julie. I love Julie, man. Oh, you saw I smiled a little bit. I had to get the shape up and everything. I had Julie on the show. Y'all thought I was getting fly for the guys, but love Julie Donaldson, man. It's always a good time when I get Julie on the show. Hopefully I see her at camp on Friday. Who has the best running back duo, tight end duo, and wide receiver trio in the division? Okay. I'll say best running back duo. I'm gonna give it to Pollard and Zeke. Like, I like that. That's a really good running back duo. I'm not really a fan of Miles Sanders, even though the Eagles' rushing attack was great last year. A lot of that was because of the quarterback. I need to see my boy Kinfolk Brian Robinson before I could put us there. So I'm gonna go with Zeke. And Pollard might be better than Zeke at this point. So I think they have the best balanced backfield. Tight end duo, that's tricky. It ain't us. It ain't the Giants. I guess, is it the Eagles because Goddard? Like, it's the Eagles, right? Well, the best tight end duo in it can't be us because we have question marks and young guys. So I guess I'm going Philly here. And wide receiver trio, I'm going with I'm not going with the Eagles. I'm going with us. Nah, bro. If Curtis Samuel is healthy, I'm taking Terry, who's the best receiver in the NFC East. All of you NFC East watchers that aren't Washington fans, That's the best receiver in the division. Curtis Samuel was Deebo Samuel before Deebo Samuel. He was the original Samuel. And this rookie, who's a carbon copy version of Terry McLaurin with better hands, we have the best receiver trio in the division. I'm going to go to Rico next.
Hey, man, I'm just happy that we're competitive enough to where you could make a case for us for all three.
Facts.
With the running back, I think just based off of history, we still got to see what Brian Robinson can do. I'll probably lean towards the Cowboys for that. Tight end, honestly, when healthy with Logan Thomas, and I absolutely loved what I saw from John Bates last year. I may give us tight end if you include Logan Thomas healthy. But again, I just love the fact that we're in the mix. And then wide receivers, that's the one where I'm definitely going with us. I agree. Terry McLaurin's the best receiver in the division. More question marks. John Hahn's a rookie, and Curtis Samuel, if he's healthy or not, even though it looks like he's healthy. But I think ceiling wise, we got it. But we got to go out there and prove it.
Hell yeah, Ed.
I gotta the trio. I'm gonna go with Terry, Jahan, Big If, and Curtis. And I don't know if y'all saw, but there's a rumor or a report saying that players actually think that Jahan is better than Terry. I don't. That's crazy to me, but
that?
It was Kevin Sheehan and somebody. Al Galdi. They reported that. So.
I like Galdi.
But I mean, just for him to be mentioned with Terry is crazy. If we get somebody who's similar to Terry McLaurin, as Rico said earlier, like what's his name, Wright. Isaiah Wright, other guys like that have been wide receiver number 2, wide receiver number 3. But to answer the question, I think Zeke and Pollard, you can argue Pollard's better than Zeke. So they got the running back. We got to see what Brian Robinson can do. Sanders is good. Saquon's coming back. I don't even know the Giants number 2. I know they had Wayne Gallman for a second. I know they signed another running back, but whoever it is, they don't even have a good duo. To be honest, I do like Kenneth Gainwell. I do like him. I do like Miles Sanders. I think they got some good guys over. Jordan Howard's nobody to sleep on. They got a good rushing attack. Jalen Hurts is a running back too, if you want to include him there. In there too.
Facts.
But what's the other one? Tight ends. Tight ends is tough, man. Logan. I wish Logan was healthy right now. But we don't know yet. We're gonna get from John Bates is good, but the Eagles is Goddard, and who's their tight end number 2?
I don't even know who their other tight end is off the top.
Yeah, because they just cut Richard Rodgers.
Goddard, nice. So
they just cut Richard Rodgers, and then Dalton Schultz is good too, but they don't have a tight end number 2 either. So it's really a toss up for tight end, honestly.
Yeah.
But and then the Giants, I don't even know who their tight end is now because they cut Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph,
right?
Yeah, they signed Kyle Rudolph, he's like 40 years old.
Kyle Rudolph.
He's in Tampa now.
Oh, he's in Tampa.
Really?
Who's the Giants tight end right now?
They signed Ricky Seals-Jones.
Oh yeah, Ricky
that is true. Yeah, they're about to sign Eric Ebron too, so they really don't have anybody. It's between Logan and Dallas and Goddard and Schultz. So I guess, I'm gonna plead. I'm not even gonna answer the tight end. I don't think there's anybody's tight end.
All right, Lou, close it out.
Running back, I agree. I think that still resides in Dallas. Everybody wants to throw Brian Robinson. I'm like, it's JD McKissic is the second running back. Like, if we're talking about duos, I don't want to skip over JD. Like, JD is like our offense went to shit when he got injured last year. Like, he's such a huge part of what we do. So, I still would put Dallas ahead of any other duo in the division. As far as tight end is concerned, I think it's a tie between Dallas and Philadelphia. They both have exceptional number 1 tight ends. I think they both have young second tight ends on their rosters. I know, if I'm not mistaken, either Dallas or Philadelphia just drafted a tight end. So I think they've got some really good units there that are probably a little bit better than ours. And I would say the receiver, if we are going off of production, then it's Dallas. If we're going off of projection, which we like to do, then it's us. Dallas has 2,000-yard receivers. I don't think anybody else in the division can lay claim to that. So I think right now it would be Dallas. But if we're projecting, it's Washington because I feel like we can, go 5 deep. I don't think anybody else in the division can do that. And the three guys, and this is why you're projected. We haven't seen Curtis Samuel do a damn thing here in Washington. We're basing everything that he did off of what he did in Carolina. We're not even sure if we're going to maximize him and use him the way that he was being utilized in Carolina, as a running back and a guy that can, hurt you by just getting the football in his hands. So I still need to see it before I believe it. And then obviously Jahan is a rookie. We feel like he's going to have a similar impact to what Devontae Smith had for the Eagles last year. Almost having 1,000 yards, if not eclipsing 1,000 yards in his rookie season. But again, we're projecting. We don't know what's going to happen. So the ceiling, I think, is greater for our guys than anybody else in the division. But it's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure. And just like Rico said, it's just fun that we're even in the discussion. For years, we couldn't even have discussions where we could put our name in any of these conversations. You know what I'm saying? So it just feels good to be able to do that.
Inman, Fat Rob.
Yeah.
Those were the Jeremy Sprinkle.
Right.
Those were the days that we're coming from. It feels like a new day. Mr. Ron B, appreciate you for the super. He said special teams need to be an aggressive tone setter. Block punts or field goals, big returns, anything to get things going. I agree.
OG, triple OG.
Yes, sir. And I posed the question, who's the return guy? Who's the specialist for us this year? We let DeAndre Carter out of the building. The fans had a tizzy over it. I think he's a very replaceable guy, but I respect everything he did for us last year. The first year he ever saw the end zone, he got there 5 times last year. But he's very replaceable. He lost me when he dropped the deep ball versus Dallas. At that point, the writing was on the wall for me because that one hurt my soul. We have 2 guys. We have the Bill Belichick white skill player special, Milne and Alex Erickson. Are one of those guys going to be the receiver? Or are we going to experiment with our first-round pick, getting some return duties? How do y'all think the return specialist position is going to play out here? I'll start with Ed.
Well, Dax Milne, if he can steal some field position like he's out there stealing his best buddy's girlfriend out there, maybe he can help us out. But, Dax has a chance. I mean, Alex Erickson he seems like the guy that they're bringing in. I think Alex Erickson might be able to help us out a little bit other than, just returning punts. I actually think he might be able to do something wide receiver. I think he can do something similar to what Adam Humphries did a little bit. Mm-hmm. Adam Humphries light, but I think it's going to be Alex Erickson. I know Jahan Dotson was returning. He was, fielding punts today in practice. He did it in OTAs and minicamp as well. But of course, they want to keep him healthy. So, but if the guy can make guys miss, they keep comparing him to Deshaun Jackson. We saw what Deshaun Jackson did returning punts, how electric he was. So, if they want to throw Jahan back there a couple of times, let's see what he can do if he can stay healthy. But yeah, I think it's going to be Alex Erickson. I really don't have Dax Milne making the roster, to be honest.
I see him as a practice squad guy. Yeah. I think they signed Erickson with the intention, so I'll make mine short and sweet. I think Erickson is the guy who rounds out the receiver room as the specialist, Lou.
There's nothing to add. Y'all said everything. I don't think Dax Milne was making the team. I think Alex Erickson was brought here to fill that DeAndre Carter role. There's not much more to add to it.
In fact, Rico.
The only thing I have to add is with the block punt thing. I remember we drafted Khalid Hudson because he had like a knack for that in college. So I would love for us to try to send him out there to, do that. It would be nice to block some punts, block some field goals because teams were doing it to us last year. And then I agree. Y'all basically said everything. The only thing I can add is that I would hope that like a Jaquez Ezer, the guys that have some sparks, the undrafted free agents with some athleticism, if they can show up and at least make it competitive and make us think hard about it. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be Alex Erickson. But at least make them like really have to be like, I don't know, Jaquez Ezer looked really good. So we'll see.
I know this much. Last year, it was, punt returner by committee in the preseason. They gave everybody a chance to try to make an impact.
Patterson.
Right. So I feel like he will get an opportunity. Like Alex Erickson is very replaceable. Like he's not a guy that has to be here. So if someone shines and says, hey, look, I got to be here. I'm a playmaker. Every time I touch it, you saw what I was doing in the preseason. They can make the football team, but I'm going to go on the safe side and just say it's probably going to ultimately be Alex Erickson.
All right. Hell yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the name Khaleke Hudson because we're going to get to him and we're going to get to a few other guys because we're going to do a little buy or sell stock from players who have to show us something because they've shown us nothing with their tenure with the team right now. Shout out to my boy, Brother Cap. My boy Derek said these live streams help mental health. May God bless you all, the big four. Respect to that, my guy. My boy Derek always holds it down. Billy said, did y'all listen to Louie break off Lord Brunson on Come Correct? That shit was epic. Oh, shout out to, I love this debate thing that you're starting. This is innovative. This is cool as hell. You put on a clinic, my guy.
I appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. He stayed capping. His fans stay capping, but it's all fun, man. It's all love. It's all fun, man. I enjoy it.
Man. I love it. I love it when the divisions mix up, man. Mm-hmm. It's always wild when we mix it up. And those Philly fans are out of their damn mind this year.
Very much so.
Shout out to Dejan. He said, quickly, Ed, your thoughts on Johnny Davis? A Wizards question. He from my hometown of Wisconsin. And Rio and Ed, y'all coming to the free practice, right? Because Lou bluffing. I'll be there on August 6th, bro. I'll be there. And I'll be at camp on Friday. Ed, you can answer the Wizard question.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there on the practice on August 6th. Johnny Davis, he struggled in the summer league. It's summer league. You don't want to get too hyped up. You've seen guys ball out in the summer league and be trash in the regular season. So you've seen that before, and you've seen guys be trash in summer league and be good in the regular season. So, but I think he's got that dog in him. You see what he did to Jay Ivey when he put up 37 points on Jay Ivey at Purdue. So I think the young guy can play. It's just going to be hard for him to get playing time. Bradley Beal is going to get 35, 40 minutes. He just got paid, $1 billion. So it's going to be hard for Johnny Davis to get playing time behind him. So I wish him the best. I would say this rookie year, I wouldn't expect too much from him, but I would look for something in his sophomore year and his junior year, his third year in the NBA.
Absolutely. I see a sixth man out of the guy.
Yeah.
But we will see. Fat the Truth American. Oh, man. All four of my homies was good, y'all. First day of training camp in the book. Who's excited? We're all excited, bro. Heard good things about Jahan. Jahan gets ringing endorsements from every single person who stepped within a 5-mile radius of Ashburn. Things we never got from guys like Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gandy Golden, when he's not holding a Rubik's Cube, So as of right now, he's as advertised. He is as advertised. I need to see it on the field, but he looks like a very high floor player at the minimum. And for that, and that's what our draft class for the most part was. Solid plug and play, high floor guys. Who excites y'all the most now this off season? I'll start with Rico on this one. Who excites you the most?
I mean, I feel like obviously we have to pay the most attention to Carson Wentz. Change your quarterback. Quarterback's the most important position in team sports, just like Louie said. But for me personally, and it's hard for me to pick an exact player, but this tight end group, I mean, I know I've said it a lot, but it's the one I'm the most excited about just because of the pure freak athletes there. I mean, maybe nothing comes of any of them. Maybe Samus Reyes, Armani Rogers, Curtis Hodges, none of them end up panning out. But I mean, just the height and the relatively higher floor than I feel like people are giving them credit for, and Curtis Hodges, the incredibly high ceiling of our Armani Rogers, and whatever Samus Reyes could potentially end up being with him already. I mean, Ron Rivera said he's our most physical blocker. We just got to get all of the mental and technical stuff there. That's the thing I'm paying the most attention to. Like, if I'm able to catch a practice in some way, that's going to be the team that I have my camera out for, the part of the team where I'm pinpoint looking at, because I want to see how they match up against guys. I want to see how they look, because I know we're going to end up releasing 1, 2, or maybe 3 of them, and I feel like they may end up going to another team, and then now 3 years later the Ravens suddenly have this great tight end and it's Armani Rogers or something. I could easily see something like that happening.
I'm excited to see that boy Cole Turner. Cole Turner, I call him Aquaman. He looks like a superhero, bro. When I seen him at OTAs, he's one of the first things that stands out on the field. He's a tree. He looks like a man. Him and Bates just look giant, bro. They look like two commanding forces, and they're going to get a trial by fire here where Logan's starting on the PUP list. They get to audition to be tight end 1, and if we have a true tight end 1 out of those 2 names, we may have a guy. So the tight end position is definitely a really good answer for that one. Me, it's the quarterback. I obsess about the quarterback position. I've dreamed my entire life to have stability and competence at the quarterback position. And I really want to know that it exists. Shout out my guy, Docs ENT, my guy, Graf, over there repping for the Raiders, by the way. But for me, it's all eyes on Wentz, bruh. Number 11, that's simple. This dude right here, that's who I'm most excited to see. Lou?
For me, it would be quarterback, but obviously that's low-hanging fruit. So I'm gonna say it's Jamin Davis for me, because so many people wanted to throw the B word around with that young man last year, and it was a lot, man. This was a guy that really was probably more suited to be a third-round pick, honestly, but he blew up the pro day. The measurables are off the charts, and he's a good kid, military background, all of the things that they love in this organization. And I felt like they put too much on his plate. This is a guy that would not have started at Kentucky had his roommate not had a stroke. Yeah. So this is a guy that only had one full season as a starter at Kentucky. He came in, they had him learn all three linebacker positions and then stuck him in the middle, which is just tough. And I think this year they've kind of centralized this focus, like, bro, you are a will now. We're not worried about nothing else. You're going to play outside and just let them go out and play and run around and not have to think. And I thought last year was just too much thinking. We saw flash plays last year. The Bills game on a fourth down, the tackle to stop them from getting a first down. There are countless plays where we saw quarterbacks roll out and then we just see a blur on the screen, force the quarterback to get rid of the football. There's a play against the Raiders where they throw a screen. He's all the way on the opposite side of the field. He comes all the way to the other side, gets the running back before he could even, get his bearings under him and look to turn up the field. So we've seen flash plays from him. Now we just need to see him do it consistently. So he's a guy that I'm really looking towards because, again, the depth is just not there. We can't afford for Jamin Davis to not be good this year. So I'm looking for a huge step in year 2 from Jamin Davis.
Yeah, obviously it's Wentz, but I'm gonna go with Jahan. I think he has opportunity to change this offense. Mm-hmm. He's a guy where people, if you look at social media, people hated that pick with a passion. Everybody wanted Kyle.
I went off, bro. I already ate my crow for it, bro. He's already changed. He changed me early, bro.
And I was talking people off a ledge. I was like, hey, man, I'm a Maryland fan. I get it. Maryland's not good at football. I get that. But this man literally almost put up 300 yards on Maryland.
Killed him.
At Maryland, at College Park. He went crazy in that game. He went crazy on Ohio State, too. So I was like, guys, he's a good player. He might not be Jameson Williams. He might not be what you want to Kyle Hamilton, all those guys, the big names that everybody was thinking about looking at. But this guy can play, man. He's 5'11", but he plays like he's 6'5". He can go up and get it, the catch radius, the route tree. He can take the top off of defense. And Terry he hasn't had a number 2 guy, and this guy has the opportunity to be just like another Terry McLaurin out there. So this offense needs it, man. It needs it. The wide receiver core has the opportunity to be Carson Wentz's best wide receiver core in his entire career. Mm-hmm. It has a chance to be the best wide receiver core since the Deep Jacks, Pierre Garçon, and James Crowder days. So I'm really excited for Jahan Dotson. He's a character guy, like Lou said. Ron loves his Boy Scouts. Kind of guys, no trouble with this guy, no history, anything like that.
No divas.
Stand-up guy. Yeah, nothing, no clean slate kind of guy. So I think he fits the bill.
And another thing he brings to the table that we're not accustomed to is he can make guys miss, run after catch. Like, that's not something we get with Terry McLaurin. And I love Terry,
You don't got much wiggle.
But, he's a guy that you put in his hands and he's very elusive. So that's another, element that he adds and brings to the table, something that I think Curtis Samuel may ultimately bring if he can stay on the field too. So that's something that I feel like this year we may be able to tap into is we threw a 5-yard pass and we got 35 yards out of it. We're not used to seeing that happen with our receivers. So it's so much excitement just because of the potential of this offense to be explosive again, something we haven't seen again since 2016, really.
Yeah, man.
So exciting.
And to add to your point, I mean, because, some fans may hear, Jahan Dotson is more elusive than Terry McLaurin and spaz out because they're going to look at just pure 40 times. Terry McLaurin may be faster straight line, but Jahan Dotson is quicker and more elusive.
With the ball in his hands. Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah. And to piggyback off of that too, Jahan got the best hands on the team. Love Terry to death. Terry's a monster. Terry's a body catcher. Terry catches with his bodies a lot. He corrals that motherfucker with his forearms and his chest all the time. He's not exactly Jahan, nothing's leaving his fingertips. That boy has some of the most natural hands you're going to see. Wentz said he has some of the best hands he's ever seen of all the receivers he's ever played with. Not saying much because he didn't play with great receivers, but it's saying a lot for a guy who hasn't played in a regular season game yet. Ryan said, you think we have a good group of young linebackers? We're about to get to the linebackers in just a second when I move to the next segment. Fellas, what's your hot take for the season? Sip slow, Lou. I know
what it is.
I know my hot take for the season. Yeah, Lou, go ahead and start us off on this one, man.
So I've been adamant that 11 wins is, I think the magic number. I went 12-5 though, so I'm telling everybody to sip slow, and I'm sipping slow as well. But at the same time, you can see my excitement. My hot take is that Aaron Rodgers will remain winless at FedEx Field in the regular season, and will beat the Green Bay Packers this year. So that's one of my hot takes.
Okay, Ed, what's your hot take for the season?
I'm gonna say Chase and Montez break the sack record.
Oh
no,
my
I'm joking.
God.
I'm joking on that one.
I'm about to say, Ed tripping. Ed tripping.
Oh, what you drinking? What you
this is
sipping
water.
on
This
over
is
there?
water. This is secret stuff. This is secret stuff. But no, I'm gonna say I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna stay on Chase Young. I'm not gonna say the sack record, but I'm gonna say 8. But it's sad that I'm saying 8 is a hot take. But at the same time, who knows when he comes back?
In how many games is he getting 8?
Right, yeah, that's true. And that's the down thing that I'm saying. Like, when we drafted him, we'd be like, oh yeah, he's about to get 30. There's people saying, oh, he's gonna get 13 sacks. He's gonna get 10, 11, 12. But depending on when he comes back, let's say if he comes back by week 4 or whatever, I think wherever he's at, I think he's gonna get 8 sacks. It's sad that I'm saying this is a hot take. Last year, what he had 1.5 and played 8 games. So I think 8 is being optimistic. I hate to say that's a hot take, but I'm gonna say 8 sacks for Chase Young. It's kind of meh, but
God damn, for that to be a hot take, that hurts myself.
It is,
but you gotta take into consideration that the man might miss the first half of the season.
Right. True shit.
Yeah.
And coming from where he was last year, I mean,
that's great.
Yeah,
we're about to get landed sacks by F.A. Abada like shit.
Hey, don't do that to Montez Sweat, man. Out now. Don't do that.
There you go. Hot take.
For me, I'm gonna say Carson Wentz finishes the year as the best quarterback in the division. I think Scott Turner is going to provide a lot of avenues for him to take the safer plays more often. And I think when he's ready to throw deep down the field, which he's always itching to do, and making guys miss. I mean, we've seen it where we thought we had him balled up in the pocket, and then he escapes to make a nice throw for like a first down.
Third down on Monday Night Football.
Oh man,
I still remember that shit like it was yesterday.
Yeah, man, that was ridiculous.
That play was like 15 seconds long. Like NFL plays shouldn't take 15 seconds. But yeah, I have Carson Wentz finishing as the best quarterback in the division. There's probably going to be debates at the end, no matter how many games any of us win. But I can see him being the most productive stats-wise, the cleanest slate, most touchdowns, least interceptions, something like that.
Okay. My hot take, I've said it here a bunch of times recently on the show. Carson Wentz over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns on the season. So that sounds like regular good quarterback numbers, but mind you, a quarterback has not thrown 30 touchdowns in this motherfucking franchise since 1967. That is 55 years. Kirk threw for 29.
Right.
Sonny goddamn Jurgensen was the last person to throw for 30 touchdowns, meaning ain't none of us was alive to see that shit. We're going to watch 30 touchdowns go from a quarterback's hand to receivers and running.
You said what was it, 1957?
1967, bro.
I was about to say my mom wasn't even alive yet. I was about to say,
bro, like we've never seen 30 touchdowns. Bro, I've watched Blake Bortles throw 38 touchdowns, and we've never watched one quarter. Kirk had 29. He almost threw for 5K, but give me 4K and 30 plus for Carson this year. That is my hot take. What do y'all think about it?
I said he was going to have 31 touchdowns this year. So
I said 32.
That's right up my alley. I think he's going to fall short of 4,000 passing yards. I hope I'm wrong about that. I think he's going to be rating at 38. I said 38.78 was going to be his final total yards wise. So I'd love to see him go over 4K and over 30 touchdowns, keep the interception numbers down. And he's usually around a 7, keep it somewhere nice and tight and tidy like that. That'd be awesome. If I've said this already, if he duplicates his numbers from Indianapolis, we're going to win double-digit games.
Absolutely agree. I could not agree any more with that. And I think we're going to have him being more of a distributor of the football. They had him playing Alex Smith style football and managing games when that's not his style and just handing it off. He's a rhythm guy. He's a volume passer. He needs to let the ball fly. But Duncan, appreciate another 5. Here he goes with this Jalen Hurts shit again. Jalen is the most exciting player in the NFL. I guess Lamar Jackson died. And third-ranked must-watch player. 5 primetime games. He's improved to you. You will see. We're going to see. We're going to find out if he can throw the football because I've been watching him since Alabama, and I haven't seen the ability to do such yet. Red Wing said, I think Benjamin St. Juste will be the full-time slot corner. Not the fastest, but elite agility for a guy his size and a great tackler. It's a better fit for his skills, which can take us to the next part. We're buying or selling guys' potential for this season. And I'm going to start with the linebacker core of Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb. Are you guys buying or selling stock on that crew of linebackers, or are we going to have to make a phone call really soon in the season to get us a veteran in the building? And I'm not considering David Mayo into the mix of this. He can give a great pregame speech though. I watched him at camp last year. He's a great hype man, not a great linebacker. Rico, I'll start with you. You buying or selling the linebacking core of Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb?
It depends on what we mean by buying or selling. Like, I'm buying it will definitely be better than last year. But I mean, if we're talking about, compared to like the other positions on the defense, like compared to the secondary and especially to the defensive line, I would probably sell. And I'm most worried about the depth. I like Jamin Davis a lot. I like Cole Holcomb a lot. But after that, it gets pretty ugly.
Okay. Ed?
Yeah, I put on layaway if I could, but I think. See, the thing is, they don't
payment plan.
Yeah, I know, right? I think they don't look at it the way we do. Of course, a lot of fans, they want to bring in Anthony Barr and AJ Klein, which I think they should just for depth. Knock on wood, if something happens, health and safety protocol, whatever. We just don't. It could be Milo Eifler in there. Guys who didn't have pictures during the Sunday Night Football game. But yeah, I think they believe in that 3 safety set. That's what they're really, really set on. So I'm gonna buy that Jamin takes a leap. I know Lou is believing in Jamin, so I'm gonna believe in Jamin as well. And Cole was good last year, man. I thought he did some good things in the second half of the year. So I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna buy what they're doing. I'm gonna buy that Jamin takes a leap.
Lou?
Hey, y'all give me all y'all stock, man. I'm gonna take all the stock that y'all don't want, man. I'm buying low, I'm selling high. Give me all the stock you got. I believe in these dudes to get the job done. Those are gonna be the core 2 linebackers that we see on the field. They're gonna Ron's serious about this damn Buffalo nickel, okay? If he ain't serious about another damn thing, he's serious about this damn Buffalo nickel. Okay, every chance he get, he talk about goddamn Buffalo nickel. They specifically drafted Percy Butler to come in and take some of that Buffalo nickel work. Look, those 2 guys are going to see the bulk of the snaps. As long as they're healthy, I have no doubts that those guys can get it done. And I know I might sound crazy because what has Jamin Davis done to, instill this confidence in me? Nothing, absolutely nothing. I know talent when I see it. And I think now that he has a less cluttered mind, he's going to be dangerous. So I'll buy up all the stock that everybody doesn't want. I'm buying a lot of it.
Okay. Me personally, I'm buying all the Cole Holcomb stock because I think he's built for it. I think he's ready to take over the Mike spot. He plays fast. Like, I don't think he's this bona fide all-pro blue chip type guy, but I think he'll give us everything we need to hold it down in the middle. Jamin, I'm cautiously. I'm gonna see what the numbers doing first. I'm gonna see if they take a dip. You know what I'm saying? I'm monitoring the numbers because Jamin has a bravado and a swagger to him that he's arrived and he hasn't yet. Like I watch all the players how they interact on social media when they're on their lives and stuff. Jamin be having his chest out like he's him, like he's that guy. And
that's what you want, though. You got to have that athletic arrogance.
You do in a way,
yeah.
but I've seen a linebacker last year that has terrible eyes and instincts for a good majority of the season, and it's never going to sit right with me that David Mayo was taking snaps over him later in the season when you want to evaluate the players a la Mike Shanahan. That's when you want to evaluate what you got in young talent. That and the fact that a good majority of the season, he had to come off the field on third downs. So he gives me pause to buy on the linebacker position. But off of the strength of he does have a good athletic profile, and I like Cole Holcomb, I'll buy. But it's a cautious buy, and I'm not putting all my chips in the table for him. Rico?
Yeah, I'll take all your stock. The ones
hey, I got something for you, my guy. Rico.
And yeah, I mean, like I said, I love Cole Holcomb as well. And like I said, I'm buying the stock that they're going to be better than last year for sure. I mean, first of all, Cole Holcomb alone has literally improved every year since he's been here. I mean, just a couple of years ago, we thought him in coverage was just a tragic story. But now, I'm actually fairly okay with him in coverage. He makes plays when he needs to. He's never going to be great in coverage, but it's definitely good enough. And Jamin Davis, I'm believing in the potential. I think with him, like Louie 2 basically said, with him thinking less and moving more, and him playing more of a style that he played in college and less mic responsibilities, more coverage, more blowing up screens, more penetrating. I think we should blitz him like Zach Brown. I think he has the athleticism to basically do what Zach Brown used to do for us. I'm definitely buying the stock that they'll be better than last year. If they'll be one of the most dominant position groups on our team, no, but better than last year for sure.
All right, Dejan said, do y'all see Percy as a Monte Nicholson? I know as a person, and you know what I'm saying, as a character, I don't think he's Monte Nicholson. As a player, we're yet to see. He's going to be the Buffalo Nickel for as far as we've heard it. And I don't believe Monte Nicholson, I don't believe he majored at the Buffalo Nickel. He was more of a straight up free safety, deep center fielder type guy. How do you feel about this comparison? Anybody start?
Oh, well, I mean, Monte was one of the first people that run on release, and I think that was probably because some of the off the field things, but I won't get into that too much. Yeah, I mean, he could. I think that, yeah, like you said, I think they're two different players. Where Percy is, more, he can play more in the box than what Monte did a little bit. But Monte was a solid free safety at times. There were times where he's just a little too small. He got blown by too, so he was a little undisciplined at times. But I think Percy has a chance to do something. They're just two different players in my opinion.
That Raiders game made me think he was really going to be something, bro. Lou.
So from a height, weight, speed perspective, they're very similar. Monte was a hell of an athlete. He was a guy, I remember talking so much trash about him when we drafted him that he wasn't physical. That was part of the reason his ass never played. He was too damn physical. He was always hitting any goddamn thing to move back there. Sometimes he'd be his own damn teammate. Next thing you know, he's got one of those little, braces on his bicep, shoulders all messed up. And so concussions. He was a guy that was often injured because he played at such a physical brand of football. So what you watched with Percy Butler on film is he's a physical guy. He's like a heat-seeking missile. I've talked about times where that missile didn't have a tracking device on it and he would just run by the play, you know what I'm saying? But there were so many times where, he'd hit a pile and that pile would move backwards. We know he's got speed. I think he needs more reps as a deep safety, but there's a lot to like. He's got cornerback type skills as a safety. So there are a lot of similarities between the two, but I think Percy Butler, overall is a better athlete than that of Monte Nicholson.
Agreed. Rico.
I'm right with Louie. I feel like Percy Butler, if I had to give an edge to athleticism and ceiling, I would give it to Percy Butler. Also, like Louie also said, that Percy Butler comes with some coverage skills as well. He's not just only a free safety. And now, granted, Monte Nicholson played against better competition in college, But I believe in Percy Butler's talent, and I think ultimately he could be like a baby Daxton Hill, to where, I mean, if you need him to play Buffalo nickel in a way, if you need him to cover a guy, if you need him to be your single high free safety. I don't think it's going to be immediate. It may not even be this year when he's able to do all of that. But the potential is definitely there. The tape is there from college, and I'm excited to see what he can do, man. Up to the point where we drafted him, he was my favorite draft pick of the draft because we finally went ceiling, and I'm really excited about his potential.
I'm excited to see him too, and I'm glad they're asking safety questions because we're about to talk about a safety in a second. But Johnny Boyd, appreciate you for the $199. He said trade for Jesse Bates by week 1. While I would love to see us trade for a guy of Jesse Bates' caliber, I don't see Ron and them coughing up what it'll take to acquire such a talent. We're very frugal, and we move very old school around these parts, and nothing about what we've done this offseason or the last couple years makes me scream we're going to go trade for a blue chip safety weeks before the season begins. But I'll let y'all take this one from here. I don't think it'll happen, but I would love to happen. I'd do that shit in Madden in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so that's the thing. This isn't Madden. So yeah. I don't see them doing that, especially when you look up and Cam Curl's about to have to get paid if you really believe in him. So what does it look like? You bring in a dude that wants to be paid big time money, and then you got a guy that's been doing it here for you for the last 2 going into his 3rd season saying, hey, what about me? So there's things that you have to consider when you look at guys like that. I like Jesse Bates. I don't love Jesse Bates. He's a really good football player, but he's not Justin Simmons. Okay. He's not Derwin James. So Jesse Bates is a good football player. And I think where they're trending and what they've done, the drafting of a Percy Butler, the development of a Derek Forrest, having a Cam Curl already, I think that rules out any kind of a, move like that, going out and getting a guy like JB3.
Oh, for sure. Ed?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah. Ron doesn't make moves like that. He doesn't make moves like that. So I don't see it happening. Yeah, like Lou said, you got to pay him too. As a guy that wants to get paid, he's not practicing because he wants to get paid. The whole thing with Terry, we took long enough to do that. So I wouldn't expect him to bring in a guy that wants to get paid like that. I just don't see that, especially with the whole Deron Payne thing coming up. I know they said they don't want to pay him. There's just a lot of defenders on the team that we're going to have deals coming up too. Cam Curl, you could throw Montez Sweat in there. You got to have foresight with that. So I don't see them bringing him Jesse Bates. Would it be great to bring in another blue chip guy? I'm always for bringing in talent, but I just don't see it happening with Ron and company.
Yeah, I don't see it either. My guy, Fat the Truth American, back with another one. Appreciate you, my guy. Said, I used to hate the Cowboys the most until I heard Lord Brunson start talking. Now the Eagles are number 1 on my hate list. He's a top graduate at Cap University. Yes. Nah, he's good at what he does, though, man. He's entertaining, man. Those Philly guys, they're something, man. Especially this offseason. They off the juice this offseason for sure. The dream team.
Yeah, dream team. I was about to say.
And to add to the Jesse Bates point real quick, I think you make a trade for that if you feel like he's the last piece for you winning a Super Bowl. I don't think we're at the point right now where we're like a Jesse Bates away from winning a Super Bowl. Facts. And I think that's like a trade you make like October, right around the trade deadline. You feel like, okay, we get him, we're good to go. Because
6-1.
Yeah, because like they already said, you're gonna have to pay him, and so there may be. I can see a team like a Super Bowl contender trading for him and possibly not even being able to pay him the money he wants the year afterwards, and he may just end up walking in free agency.
The Rams would do it.
Yeah. They would somehow make the money work.
Yeah,
they'd
get
the
money.
Extension and everything. The Rams always make it work. But back to the buy or sell segment that we were just doing here. There's a guy who's been running with the ones that nobody expected to hear his name called with the ones. We're in the safety room. We know Bobby McCain and Cam Curl are our starting centerpieces at that position. But splitting the role of Buffalo and some free safety is Derek Gotcha Forrest, second-year player, Cincinnati Bearcat. Are you guys buying or selling his development into a player here, or is he going to just be kind of bargain bin DeShazer Everett for us, which is a special teams captain, absolute emergency safety. I'll start with Rico because you seem like you wanted to get to it with this one.
I mean, I'm buying into the athleticism. I think he clearly has a higher ceiling than DeShazer Everett. We're not sure of his floor yet. And I'm willing to buy it. I'm not going to put all my chips into it. But, I mean, we've been hearing OTAs, mini camps, and now even starting training camp that he's been making plays left and right. Now, he's made some great plays. He's made some bad plays. He's been fairly inconsistent. But if Jack Del Rio can find the right role for him, and I don't see him necessarily starting, but I think when he comes into the game, he'll be a playmaker. Probably my biggest concern with him is that he, like y'all said, kind of with Monte Nicholson, he's kind of just like a missile, disregard for human safety.
Mm-hmm.
I can see him getting tossed out of a game for hurting another player or him missing games because he's giving himself a concussion. Yeah, so that's my biggest worry with him. But I prefer to have a guy like that than a guy that you have to motivate, snap in, snap out to go play their hardest. So I believe in Derek Forrest. Me personally, I thought he was a really good player with good athleticism when we drafted him last year, and I was expecting him to kind of not do too much last year, and I'm happy to hear that he's starting to make plays now.
I love to hear it. It's music to my ears because I didn't have any expectations for the guy. Lou?
I'm selling. I liked Derek Forrest's athleticism, as Rico just stated, coming out of Cincinnati. He's a tremendous athlete. He could run, but he was a core special teamer at Cincinnati. I think you hit it spot on, nail right on the head when you said he's a more athletically gifted DeShazer Everett. He's going to be a core special teamer, a guy that if you have to put in the game, you hope that he can come in and fill that void and that role adequately. But I don't see him being a guy that we turn to and say, okay, we got a guy here. This is a guy that we have to find a way to get him on the field. To me, there's just too many mental lapses with him. And, I've heard all good things, but it's OTAs. Everybody, we should hear nothing but good things at OTAs about these players. Exactly, man. It's trap season. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I look at him, too many missed tackles. He doesn't wrap up consistently. Poor angles, pursuit angles, poor angles to attack the football. There's just too many things that I wasn't enamored with his game for me to be super excited. I got to see it with my own two eyes to believe it. So I'm selling.
I'm going to go ahead and sell as well. I'm going to keep it short. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Lou. And I think he's the poor man's DeShazer Everett that will never even make the impact that DeShazer did. I think he'll be a special teams ace. I don't see him being a factor once the season starts on the defensive side of the ball. Ed?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of you guys. I'm lukewarm on it. So I'll probably sell too. I think the only time he really played was in preseason. I remember it was against the Bengals. They did like a fake, and like he went for the fake. Like the ball was over here, and they just faked him out so bad. And then he did get a flag for because he caused a fumble in the preseason game, but they called him for helmet to helmet. I didn't think it was a helmet to helmet.
It was a bad call. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the call, but I can see with Street Scores what you're saying with the over aggressiveness. I can definitely see that there too. But yeah, just to make it simple, yeah, I'm lukewarm. I'm going to buy the special teams part, but yeah, probably sell the 11-on-11 part where they're actually, playing.
I'm not
nothing against special teams though. It's super, super important for sure.
Oh yeah, it's very important. Well, that's why positions for guys like Troy Apke exist for special teams purposes. I think that's where Derek Forrest carves his role out. And to close out this segment, I'm gonna throw out 3 names of guys who are now seasoned veterans that have made no impact here in Washington. Khaleke Hudson, Sadiq Charles, Kelvin Harmon. Are these guys even locks to make the roster? And if so, will any of these guys give us any type of production at all at this point? Because at this point, any will do. We haven't seen any from either of those 3 guys. Khaleke Hudson, Sadiq Charles, Kelvin Harmon. Rico, start us off, man.
Well, lock-wise, I think Sadiq Charles, especially with the uncertainty we have at guard, even though I've been hearing good things from Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell, I think I would say the 2 locks would be Sadiq Charles and and who was the other one other than Kelvin Harmon? You just said
Khalid Hudson.
Khalid Hudson, yeah, because they like him a lot. I haven't seen enough to love him yet, but I mean, apparently Rivera and those guys love him. So I think Khalid Hudson and Sadiq Charles are locks to make the roster. I'm not sure about Kelvin Harmon, but out of the three guys in order of who I like the most, it would be probably Sadiq Charles 1, Kelvin Harmon 2nd. I think I just want to give him another chance, please, with him being fully healthy and with a quarterback that can take advantage of how he his play style with his jump ball ability, but I don't think he's going to make the roster.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess Khalid could make it for special teams. Sadiq Charles, I just can't forget watching the Denver game last year where he was just absolutely mollywopped and manhandled all over the field. Khalid Hudson just looks lost on the defensive side of the ball. And Kelvin Harmon, I know the injury set him back, but I think everything we saw in that 2019 season to close the year out was fool's gold. I'm not sure he would have ever made the impact that a lot of fans hold him in high regard, and for that, bless their hearts. But I'm not sure we ever see you. Oh, we could throw Keith Ishmael in this group here too. We may need him because we got 2 centers on the pup list right now, but we could put them all in a pot right now and have a prayer group for them because I don't really see anything from this group of guys that we're talking about. I'm definitely selling on every single player mentioned. Ed,
throw AGG in the list. He might be the highest one out of all of them.
In there.
But yeah, Khalid, good special teams guy. He might play just because of the linebacker depth. Sadiq, I think he's a guard. I think that's where he would be best at. A tackle, yeah, he struggled. Yeah, he's got the shorter arms. Everybody hyped him up because he was good at LSU, but I think the whole Joe Burrow thing. He blocked for Joe Burrow. They won a national championship. That was the whole thing coming out with him. I think he can be a productive, solid depth guy. It was Khalid, Sadiq, and then who was the other one?
Khalid, Sadiq, and
Calvin. Yeah.
Ishmael, AGG. They're all cut from the same jag cloth.
Right, yeah. Calvin got cut, so he hurt his ACL. That was unfortunate. Came back, got released, then made the practice squad. So he's still hanging on. There's reports that he didn't want to play tight end. I think he would have been really good at tight end or H-back or whatever. I think he would have been better at that. AGG is saved. I think AGG is going to save his career because he's moving to tight end. I actually think he's going to make the roster. I think he's going to make it. It's between him and Curtis Hodges. That's my surprise pick for making the roster is AGG at tight end. I think he's going to be good at tight end, man. I just got a feeling because he can't separate at all, but man, he can bully guys. Like that jump ball.
His hands in the dirt, it's gonna be terrifying though.
That is true. But that's the guy I'm buying. That's my wishful thinking. I think AGG is gonna make it a tight end. That's what I think. I think in preseason we're gonna see something from him.
Okay, so AGG, we're buying the AGG at tight end room. Lou.
Yeah. So for me, I think I'm piggybacking off of Rico. The two locks for me are Khalid Hudson and Sadiq Charles. Just offensive line depth is paramount in this league, as we saw last year. You tried to throw Keith Ishmael, you could just leave him off this list. He's you gotta have him. Like we literally had 18 injuries at center last year. The man had to play and actually played admirably. So I think he's in there as well. Khalid Hudson, I think, is just a lack of depth at that particular position, even though you listen to Ron and there's a couple of guys that they're looking at, even at the safety position, he keeps bringing up Farrod Gardner. So we'll see what happens with some of those other guys. I don't even know why we're talking about, Kelvin Harmon. Like I don't even see the point of talking about Kelvin Harmon.
Fans be ready to give their second born for Kelvin Harmon.
I bless his heart. He's a good dude and he does everything the right way. You're rooting for him like hell. I remember when we got him, we were so excited. I was ready to spend the 3rd round pick on the man. We got him in the 6th round. And I wanted to know, well, other than the lack of separation and top end speed, what's the problem here? And he was solid in his rookie season, but you could see that, he wasn't, a difference maker. He wasn't a needle mover. And then you tear your ACL, you already couldn't run and you already weren't a separator. So that didn't help his case at all. We're way too deep at receiver. So he's not even, worth a conversation for me. AGG again. You're changing positions. This guy to me wasn't physical enough at receiver, and now you're asking him to play a position where it demands that you're physical. He's put on weight. Obviously, he looks bigger, but if he was 225, now he's 235. He's put on 10 pounds. That's great. You're still undersized for the tight end position.
You get washed.
So again, I think he's got a long road ahead of him, but I think it was the smart move to move the tight end to give you an opportunity to save your career. So he could be Darren Waller in 3 years, right? Like Darren Waller made the switch from receiver to tight end. It took about 3 years for him to get out of Baltimore and get into Vegas, and now look at him. So I mean, that's a down the road type of proposition for him. I don't see that being something that we're able to take advantage of this year. But I'm not buying AGG. I'm not buying Kelvin Harmon. I'm buying Keith Ishmael if you're going to throw him in the list. I'm buying Khalid Hudson, and I'm buying Sadiq Charles as well.
Okay. 1-6 Devil Doc. Appreciate you for the $2 super. He said, what are you guys' tight end room predictions coming out of camp? I love Cole Turner. I really like what John Bates showed us last year, but I think Cole Turner is going to show us a receiving vertical move tight end threat that we haven't had here in a minute. I think Cole Turner is going to get a lot of reps early in the tight end room, and I think him and Bates are going to start the season off as the guys here. Them two and Logan Thomas. I think the Chilean wonder, Samis Reyes, was a beautiful story. And I think that story is going to come to a conclusion, like all good things in life. I think he may get on the practice squad or something. I don't see Samis Reyes as a part of the tight end equation here, but I think we see tons of Bates and Cole Turner, and Cole is the guy I got my eyes on. How do y'all think the tight end room is going to turn out after camp? Rico.
So I'm hoping worst case scenario, Samis Reyes maybe gets stowed away somewhere, injury reserve pup, somewhere like that. I mean, apparently he's back healthy now. We'll see how that goes. I'm not a big AGG fan, so I'm rooting for guys like Armani Rogers and Curtis Hodges to take those last couple of spots until Logan Thomas gets back. But yeah, I'm super high on John Bates, and I'm really excited about Cole Turner because Cole Turner is the mold of the player that's been Carson Wentz's favorite targets throughout his career so far. Now, granted, he hasn't had a receiving core of separating speedy, shifty receivers like he's had now. He's never had a Terry McLaurin or a John Dotson, I believe. But history has shown Cole Turner is the type of guy he likes to get the ball to, especially while he's trying to, grow into the offense, get more familiar with guys. I think Cole Turner is going to probably end up being his safety blanket early on, especially in the red zone. But again, I'm a big John Bates guy, and I'm really excited about Armani Rogers and Curtis Hodges specifically.
Hey, man, John Bates had the best run blocking grade, and he showed a little bit of wiggle after the catch and some catchability. But that boy out of Nevada just looks different, man. 10 touchdowns his last season in Nevada from Carson Strong. Ed, how you feel about the tight end room?
Yeah, I like Cole Turner a lot, man. I like how he has some swag and talks trash. It looks like he's got that dog in him. Catch radius, they bring that up a lot about him. He's going to be a red zone target. 10 touchdowns is nothing to sleep on. Of course, he has to improve on blocking, but I think he's going to fill in and do what they want. Good route runner as well, played wide receiver in high school, transitioned to tight end in his earlier years in college. John Bates, Logan Thomas, of course, we don't know when he's going to be back. So John Bates is going to be your tight end number one to start off. Cole Turner could take that role, though. You just never know. And then the third tight end is up for grabs. I brought up AGG, but everybody's taking a dump on AGG. I'm like, goodness gracious, everybody's just calling him trash. I'm trying to inject some life into AGG a little bit. Goodness gracious. But yeah, no, I mean,
Rubik's Cube, man, he'll go to work.
Yeah, I know, right? It's Rubik's Cube or bust. And the only thing that AGG has done so far is that reverse versus the Browns. That's like the only thing he's done. I don't think he's even called a pass, to be honest with you. But no, I'm gonna keep pumping up AGG a little bit here, but no, it's between Curtis Rogers, Armani Rogers, I think, Rogers, whatever. Curtis Hodges, I've been hearing some hype about him. I know Logan Paulson really likes him a lot. He's 6'8", Arizona State, good hands, played basketball too, so he's got some hops to him. So I heard he's been playing with the second string too. So I think Curtis Hodges probably will make it over AGG, and that's going to be your 3 because Logan Thomas, most likely from what I'm hearing, he won't be ready for week 1. So you got to keep 3 guys. Sammy Reyes, like you said, it was a good story. He can be on a practice squad and learn for sure. I know everybody loved the story of him and all that, but he's got to stay healthy, and he's a good blocker. That's what Ron says. But yeah, he can barely catch the football, but he's out there to really block right now. He's an athlete. You know, everybody wants to move him to a different position, maybe fullback. Some people always ask me about defensive end. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I don't know about all that either.
That's a lot to learn.
Yeah,
that's a
whole lot to learn, man. Lou,
the tight end position is an enigma for me because the monkey wrench that Logan Thomas's absence throws into the position makes it so intriguing. Because had Logan Thomas been healthy, we know the 3 tight ends. There's really not much to talk about unless they wanted to keep a 4th one. With him being out, and I'm thinking it's probably gonna be like the first 3 weeks of the season. You got to keep a 3rd tight end. I have no idea what we're going to get from the other guys that are competing for that last spot. I think we know 1 and 2. You can put them in whatever order you want going into the season without Logan Thomas. But who's that 3rd guy? I don't know. I wish I could give you something. I don't know about any of these guys. And until I watch them in the preseason, I wouldn't be able to tell you, what these guys bring to the table and which one I like the most. So right now, the tight end position is very intriguing. That's part of the reason why Ron's getting so many questions revolving around the tight end position so early in camp, is because it's a big question mark. You really don't know what you're going to get. These guys have to step up. The guys that are going to be getting these reps. Obviously, John Bates probably slides into that number 1 hole. Cole Turner slides into the 2 spot. And you see how those guys handle those assignments, and then who's going to get the mop-up reps. I don't know. We'll see. But that's a position I'll definitely be honing in on as we get to the preseason.
Oh yeah, that's probably a top 2 position to be watching here. So if Cole Turner and Bates absolutely look the part, what does that say about Logan's future in DC?
Well, they signed him to a 3-year deal extension last offseason. So, and he's already 30 years old, so I think if they feel really good about one of those dudes, and ultimately what is going to revolve around is the production that we get from him when he gets back in his health. If he plays well, like, remember, he was one of our leading receivers in 2020. So if he gets back to that level when he gets healthy, and then the following year he plays well again, then they'll have a decision to make. But if he comes back from the injury this year and he's solid, but he didn't get to the level that he was at the previous year, and then you go and you look at, like, Cole Turner, for instance, has 6 receiving touchdowns, and he's a red zone monster, and he's hard to cover, and Bates is continuing to mature, then I don't think he cost a ton of money, right? So you don't have to make a rash decision. If we're penny pinching over $5-6 million, then we're in a bad spot anyway. So I don't think he's a guy you necessarily have to move on from. If he's still producing at a relatively high level, regardless of what the other guys are doing, you can always interchange guys or take away snaps, but I don't think you have to move on from him necessarily.
Yep, and that means we just have a tight end room that covers all bases, a well-rounded, versatile tight end room. Dejon Bell, appreciate you for the 199. He said, AG, is he going to have a Le'Veon Bell Steeler type of season? And that's interesting. What kind of season do y'all expect from Antonio Gibson this year? Because last year, I know the fumbles were a problem. He led the league in running backs and fumbles, but my bigger issue with him is his lack of vision. He leaves a lot of yards to be desired on a lot of his carries, because obviously he's still transitioning into being a full-time feature running back. What kind of season would be a successful season for Antonio Gibson in year 3, especially with a quarterback here now? So that opens up more opportunities for him. Rico, what kind of season are you expecting from Antonio Gibson? Mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I like Brian Robinson. I like Brian Robinson quite a bit. So I think overall he's going to have less rushing yards, but I think with a more explosive offense and teams worn down by Brian Robinson and out of breath because of J.D. McKissic. I think ultimately Antonio Gibson is going to have more yards per carry. Ideally, I'm hoping it's a situation where Brian Robinson is your Mark Ingram and Antonio Gibson is Alvin Kamara like. I'm hoping that's the situation, but we'll see. But yeah, again, mostly I don't think he's going to reach 1,000 yards rushing. I think Brian Robinson is going to eat into that quite a bit, and I think we're just going to throw the ball more. So I just think it's going to be hard for anybody to really reach 1,000 yards rushing for us at this point anyway. But I do see his yards per carry going up. I see him fumbling less because a couple of his fumbles were just straight up fumbles, but a few of them were definitely like he's worn down. He's fighting through injuries. This is like his 8th carry this drive type of thing. And then he ends up fumbling. And I think with the load being taken off of his shoulders, I think he'll be fresher. I think he'll be healthier. I think we'll see more plays like that 80-yard screen against the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. Hey, that's probably the only play of his career so far where you could truly see the 4.3 speed. Like you saw him get top 10 speed on that play. Ed.
Probably the Cowboys Thanksgiving game where he was waving goodbye. You got to see it right there too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the fumbling, it got to the point where it was like the Friday Night Lights movie where the dad was hitting his son with the football, like telling his son to stop fumbling the ball. But no, I believe in him. I think he will fumble less. Yeah. I think Brian Robinson is going to eat into his carries. You drafted Brian Robinson in the 3rd round, so he's got to get snaps. He's got to get carries. I do want to see him used in a pass game a little bit more. I mean, he was a wide receiver in college. I think they've used him a little bit, but every year they hype him up and they're like, oh, he's like Christian McCaffrey, and we haven't really seen it like that in the passing game either. I mean, he's not Christian McCaffrey, but the coaching staff has said it themselves. So, we just haven't seen them use him like that. But I do want to see him. I think the big thing is, they talk about Peyton Barber, and there were times where it was 3rd and 1 and he didn't get it. There were times where the money downs, he didn't convert. So I do want to see him. I do want to see them rely on him, and he gets those tough yards. I think he has, but he just hasn't done it consistently. And that's a big reason why they drafted Brian Robinson, because they believe that Brian Robinson is going to be that guy where it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and he's going to get those yards where Gibson he's kind of left those yards out there. So I think that's his homework, is to get those yards and not leave those yards on the field. That's his homework, and not fumble the football. But I think 1,000 yards, I think he can get it, but I don't think he will.
Lou?
So Ed hit it right on the head. That's why they drafted him. I've been an advocate of Peyton Barber. I kept telling people, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And we really just so underrated was Peyton Barber. And we really just, a lot of people did. I can't say we, because I'm not in that group, just dismissed the value that he brought to the team in 2020. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it in a Washington uniform since the Daniel Snyder regime, where it's 3rd and short, it's 4th and short, and we got to have it. Peyton Barber would not be denied. So we lost that aspect last year, and they thought Gibson could do it. And like Ed said, he did it at times, but it wasn't clean. And then there were times where he didn't do it at all. Yeah. And Ron talked about it today. He said, Brian Robinson is a guy that we feel like can hit it up in between the tackles. And we think Gibson is going to be more of a guy that can get outside. I actually think this is going to be a massive year for Antonio Gibson. This is, for all intents and purposes, it's not a contract year, but it is a contract year. So I think he's going to be huge this year. That's why he cut the weight. That's why he got into the best shape of his career. I think the vision is getting better. I thought I saw a guy that was starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and he just physically couldn't get there due to injuries and because he might have been a little bit overweight. So I think what we're going to get from Antonio Gibson, every single clip that I saw of him this year in the offseason, he's catching passes, right?
Yep.
I think you're going to see a more versatile Antonio Gibson. I think you're going to see a guy that hits more home runs, and also take this into consideration. And Rico said this, and I think he's spot on, but I think this is where I think everybody's kind of missing the boat, is that I think his yards per carry is going to be significantly increased. However, I think he's going to hit some home runs because of how we can stretch the football field, because of how conscious defenses have to be to stop the speed that we have. Dami Brown, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, all these guys can stretch the football field vertically. And so because of that, I think you see lighter boxes, and he's able to exploit those, get into the secondary, and then become a real problem. So I could see him hitting 1,200 yards on the ground this year. I could see him being more of a threat as a receiver. I think he's going to have, north of 10 touchdowns, back to his rookie season form where he had 11 touchdowns. I think we're going to see Antonio Gibson really be a force. And I think Brian Robinson is the only way that this doesn't take place. The only two ways: injuries or fumbles. I think Ron was really disappointed in Antonio Gibson last year with the fumbles.
Definitely.
And he didn't have really an answer or a guy he could turn to. You don't want to overuse J.D. McKissic. And bless his heart, Jared Patterson's not that guy.
He's not.
I always look at him and I think about that meme with the guy. You're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
And I'm just like, yo, it's a cute story, from the area, grew up a fan. Mom's got the shrine downstairs, all of that. It's great. He's not that guy. That's why they drafted Brian Robinson. So for me, I think Antonio Gibson, it's his job to lose. It's his job to go out and really dominate this year. And I think he understands all that. That's why he cut all that weight. That's why he came into camp in the best shape of his life. I think he's going to have a big season.
Yeah, he looks great, man. He's in great shape. He looks slim, spry. And I've seen some of the stuff that they were doing at OTAs. They're going to utilize this guy in a bunch of ways. Like him, McKissic, and Curtis Samuel. Scott's going to get in his duffel this year. He's going to be moving guys around. I expect Carson to be throwing the ball to everybody on the offense this year. I think he has to get 1,000 yards. He's got to get He's going to get enough touches that 1,000 yards should be the criteria to start the baseline of his production. 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns. I need that from Antonio Gibson. This is year 3 of a 4-year deal. We got to see it. We just drafted a running back in the 3rd round. Don't put the ball on the ground early. Stay on the field because that big corn-fed Alabama boy is ready to come in and take some carries away if you put the ball on the ground. Absolutely. I would love it to be like they had in Carolina, the Thunder and Lightning duo of D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. But I think Gibson adds more of a power thing than D'Angelo Williams did, as well as the speed. But I need 1,000 yards. I need 8 to 10 touchdowns from Antonio Gibson. And it's crazy. We really haven't talked much about J.D. McKissic. J.D. McKissic deserves a statue outside of our new venue when it comes. This guy chose us after putting pen to paper with the Super Bowl favorite of this season. He chose to renege and come back here. And for that, he forever has my heart as a fan. I don't understand it. You love to see it, bro. Let's talk about J.D. McKissic because our offense relied like hell on him last year. When he, like Lou said, when he went out, our offense went completely anemic. J.D. McKissic, he's wearing a new number now. He looks more like an elusive running back, rocking the 2-3 instead of the strong safety number of 41. What's J.D. McKissic giving us in 2022? Lou, go ahead.
So that's a really good question because Carson Wentz doesn't really like throwing the football to the running back. So, and he had a great receiving back in Nyheim Hines in Indianapolis. So I'm really interested to see just how much of J.D. McKissic's production takes a hit now that you have a guy that really wants to push the football down the field. All this Brian Robinson talk is so easy to forget about J.D. McKissic, but he's such a huge part of this offense still. And I think they've got to do a better job of getting him involved because, again, Carson Wentz is not going to be checking for him, right? You see what I did there? But you got to find a way to get him involved and get, call plays that actually are designed to get J.D. McKissic touches. I still think he's going to be a really good part of this offense. This is the thing I can say with 100% certainty, and I feel really good saying this. J.D. McKissic will not be second in receiving on this team in 2022.
Hell no.
That is refreshing, okay? He led the team in 2020.
80 catches?
Second on the team in 2021. He will not be anywhere remotely close to first or second. So I feel good just being able to say that.
Hell yeah, Rico.
Well, first of all, to give J.D. McKissic the credit and why I feel like it will be really hard to keep him off the field. As of right now, he's our best pass blocking running back. Now, granted, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson are way bigger humans and should be better blockers. And, if they can get the technique down, they have all of the size and strength and power to be better blockers. But as it stands today, right now, J.D. McKissic is our best pass blocking running back. And on obvious passing downs, 2-minute offense, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, especially when you see the route he ran against the Giants in week 2, right before the Ricky Seals-Jones touchdown. When you see the play he made in Atlanta, he's forever good with me. If he ever needs a meal, he can come to my house after what he did to the Falcons with that dive to win the game. So I think it's going to be, granted, like y'all said, Carson Wentz doesn't like throwing the running backs, and Lou Great brings up a great point. Nyheim Hines is a great, really underrated running back, pass catching running back. So I don't know how J.D. McKissic is exactly going to fit as far as Carson Wentz goes, but we know Scott Turner loves J.D. McKissic. We know right now part of the reason Scott Turner got an extension was because of J.D. McKissic at this point. And so I think they're going to find a way to get him to ingratiated into the offense. I think it's going to be some growing pains for Carson Wentz to not throw it 80 yards down the field and throw it 2 yards to his right more often. But I think they'll find a way to get him involved later, though. Maybe not immediately, but later.
Hell yeah, he has to definitely. Carson, like Pat McAfee always talks about this, Carson has to learn to just let a down die. He wants the goddamn first down or a touchdown on every play, and he fights to like sometimes you got to let yourself get sacked, and sometimes you got to throw it away, and sometimes you got to take the check down. Ed, close us out on JD.
Yeah, like when Wentz threw the ball with his left hand at one time.
If he attempts one left-handed pass this year, I might lose my fucking mind. He attempted like 4 last year. 4.
No, but look, the thing, I know a lot of people say he doesn't use his running backs, but I like what he did with Boston Scott with the Eagles. I thought he used Boston Scott a couple times when they beat the Giants. He had some game-winning throws to Boston Scott. I think he can do something like that with J.D. McKissic. The game where he beat us, where he threw the ball to Miles Sanders, like in the corner of the end zone. I think he's capable of using his running backs, and I think he'll learn to do that and check it down when he needs to JD. JD, I mean, people were like, oh, he's just a third down back when he signed with the Bills. I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, this guy was second in yards and saved us so many times.
It wasn't him.
Yeah, I mean, J.D. McKissic saved us a lot. He bails out in a lot of games. That Atlanta game was ridiculous. To jump from basically the 10-yard line, this man was floating in the air for like 5 seconds. But yeah, no, JD's great, man. I hope he gets some plays. It's going to be tough, but it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. We had weapons where years before it was just like Terry and JD or Gibson and JD. We have multiple guys that we can spread the wealth to. So I'm happy that we're actually having conversations like, oh man, is this guy going to get enough touches? Because we have a good player in Brian Robinson. We have a good player in Antonio Gibson. But like you guys said, McKissic, he's our best blocking running back. Gibson got bullied a couple times in pass blocking and pass pro. So J.D. McKissic, he's that guy, man. There's going to be some third down situations where he's going to have to be out there. He is clutch. That Giants game and Atlanta game, that was super clutch.
Hell yeah, man.
The neck injury is a concern, though. That's the only concern. How is he going to bounce back from that? But they said he looked good in practice today. He's looked good so far.
Yeah, Carson, like my boy Johnny Boy said, Carson loves to throw the running back wheel routes. But speaking of the receiver position, we know what the starting unit's going to look like. We know Terry and Jahan Dotson on the outside, Curtis Samuel interchangeable, outside, inside, back, scat back, the whole Debo Samuel routine. We're going to get that out of Curtis. If he plays, knocks on wood again. We got a guy entering year 2 who had high expectations as a third rounder. I know all third rounders are not created equal. We probably held him to a Terry McLaurin standard that was unfair for a guy coming off of a college career where he ran 2 routes in North Carolina through his whole tenure. We even got the man as college quarterback to settle him in and get him more comfortable, get him cozy in the offense. What can we expect out of Dami Brown in year 2? And how does he fit into the wide receiver equation here? You got to imagine he's wide receiver 4, right? See, how I feel it playing out is drafting Jahan Dotson makes his role diminish. He doesn't have to do so much. He doesn't have to be so expansive with his route tree. If he can be, he got swole as hell this offseason. He's built like Anquan Bolden. He's been working with Hakeem Nicks out in UNC. If he can be a souped up out Aldrick Robinson and give us a pure vertical threat in the receiving room, I'd be cool with that because we need a straight line vertical threat in the receiver room. Or does he need to work on his short area quickness and learn a full route tree? How does he fall into this wide receiver room to y'all? I'll start with Lou.
So it's funny because everything you said about him, I've been saying, since we drafted him. And I told everyone, look, I don't want to need his production. It'd be nice to just want his production. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the mistake we made with AGG in his rookie season. Like when you throwing out Isaiah Wright and Dontrell Inman, your 4th round pick has to play now because we're relying on dudes that shouldn't be here. So he wasn't ready. And Dami Brown wasn't ready. This is, like you said, a guy that literally ran 2 routes at North Carolina. And they kept talking about his contested catch rate and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, that's not who he is. Like, he had a good catch against Dallas down the field late in the season. And you want to see more of that. But at the end of the day, I want him to be an afterthought, which is what he is now. Yep. I want to sneak him on the field. You got your 4th corner against him. Your safety is cheating over towards Terry and Jahan's side. And all of a sudden, he's got one-on-one, 40 yards down the field, and he's smoking your 4th corner. That's what I want. I don't want you to be looking for him to go deep, and now you got 2 guys on him running down the field, and he can't get open like last year. So I think he's in a great spot now where he can just play free. Like there's no expectation. We want your production. We don't need your production. That's how it should have been last year. That's how it is now. And I think he could easily have some big catches and end up with 527 yards on only, 37 catches. I think he could have that kind of an impact because of the guys that are out there and taking the attention away from him.
I love it, man. I love it. Somebody said Diami's good. We just had a QB that couldn't read the field quick enough. I will say Diami couldn't get off press for most of the season last year, and he was out there running around not knowing the playbook for about 8 to 10 weeks. So it wasn't just on noodle arm Heineke. Ed, Diami.
Yeah, I think there was some nerves there. He had some concentration drops. He had an easy drop against the Bills right across the middle. He fell in the first Dallas game, like he just slipped and fell. I think some of that was on nerves. Yeah, I mean, like Lou said, he's going to be our 4th guy. We're not going to really need him to where last year I was kind of hyping him up where he might get like 700 yards. We're not going to need that. we're going to need him to just catch somebody who's sleeping, maybe cause a pass interference. We're just going to need defenses to account for him. Be like, hey man, this guy can run. And then we catch Curtis underneath, or we catch Terry underneath. Maybe he can be a really, really good decoy. Just stretch the field, cause a pass interference. That's what I need from him and to catch the football. The Trayvon Diggs, Moss, I like that a lot. Show potential, what he can do with a guy who has an arm like a Carson Wentz who can give him the football. Because when they drafted him, Ryan Fitzpatrick was supposed to be the starter. So we drafted a lot. We brought in speed. And I think Heineke, the arm strength did hold him back a little bit. But yes, you're right. He struggled against press. Some normal rookie things. And I think, like you said earlier, the 3rd round pick, I think we had high expectations for him because we just got the production from Terry. And not everybody goes as Terry's rate. Not everybody, progresses as quickly as he did. So some guys, it's going to take some time. So Diami, I wouldn't have too many expectations for him. I'm not going to put yardage expectations on him either. But yeah, just go out there, be a decoy, run fast. Anthony Armstrong light, or like you said, Aldrick Robinson light.
Max, I wouldn't put a yardage mark on it, but I need that yard per catch to be up there.
Oh yeah, it can't be another 95, 100-yard season.
Yeah, man. Rico.
Well, first of all, I think in the preseason that connection between him and Sam Howell is going to have a lot of fans overreacting. Especially on the Sam Howell side of it, when they're going against other backups. I think their chemistry is just going to be unmatched, whereas everybody else just kind of be no chemistry, no continuity. It's just a random quarterback throwing to a random backup receiver. They're going to just look like, oh, why are we just going with this into the regular season? But no, I completely agree. I think the mix of no pressure, I think adding to that, Carson Wentz finally a quarterback that can hit him in stride deep downfield, added to the point that it's his 2nd year. And, naturally, he's just going to be better. He's going to know more. Hopefully, he can run more than 2 routes now. But I wouldn't bank on it. Great point by Louie that we want his production, not need it. The fact that he's the fourth guy, and I mean, some people probably like Cam Sims enough to say Dami Brown may be the fifth guy. And I think this is a great situation for him.
Fans love them some damn Cam Sims.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Cam Sims is the goddamn second coming of Julio Jones to this fan base. I'm not sure where that stems from.
Wrong Alabama wide receiver.
Facts, but man, that's crazy. A name you brought up. Look how far we've come as a fan base. We've been on here for almost 2 hours and have not mentioned the fact that we drafted a fucking quarterback in the draft this year. We could put away to bed even like a semblance of a quarterback controversy. Because there's no quarterback controversy
At
here.
all.
Sam Howell, what do y'all feel about the draft pick? Is there any promise there? And what do you want to see out of him in the preseason? And how long do we need to let him bake to see if we got something there? I'll start with Lou.
So obviously this is really like the control in this experiment is Carson Wentz, right? He's the variable, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he's good, we may never see Sam Howell on the field in a regular season game. And that's the way I want it. Yeah, I'm trying to build Belichick somebody 3 years from now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Flip his ass for like a second round pick. You know, let him shine in the preseason, never see him in the regular season, and flip him for like a second or a third down the road. But you know, if Carson isn't the answer this year, that expedites the process because we know what Taylor Heineke is. We don't need to see him as a starter. So literally he's, you know how when we were growing up, we had all-time QB, you quarterback for both teams. He's all-time second quarterback. So I don't need him to be inserted into the starting lineup unless, you know, something happens to Wentz and you need a guy to come in and stabilize the offense. But if we're talking about starting a season fresh, you keep Heineke right where he is and you skip right over him and you take Sam Howell and you say, all right, young fella, what do you have? So I think if Carson doesn't pan out, which is why they ate the $28 million, because they could have easily extended him, put that cap number down, and we could have still had guys like Eric Flowers and Matt Ioannidis and Landon Collins, but they didn't want to do that because they don't know if we're getting the Carson Wentz that they feel like it can take this franchise into the future. So
Sam is Blue Baker Mayfield.
we gonna see, man. I can tell you this much. I like the fact that we put ourselves in a position that if Wentz doesn't work, we don't have to then try to get desperate again next year, try to trade up in the draft or something like that. We got to do that we can experiment with and say, hey, let's see what this guy can do. So I do like the fact that we're planning. When's the last time this organization was planning ahead, just in case? Like, we don't do that shit.
You mean foresight?
Vision? Exactly. Yeah, we don't have foresight. What is that? So
I have no idea.
That's refreshing to see. We haven't had this kind of foresight since 2012 when we drafted Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins in the same draft.
And that was probably more spite than foresight because Dan, like RG3 was forced on him. Mike was like, I'm gonna take the quarterback I like later in the draft.
Well, he really wanted Russell Wilson, so
yeah, he did.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Hell yeah, man. Foresight and vision, man. Sam Howell, Ed, thoughts on the pick?
Oh, I love the pick, man. To get him in the 5th round, I thought that was a steal. I mean, he was the number 1 or top 2 rated quarterback coming into the college season starting last year. So I think he's a good quarterback. He has a great arm. Of course, he's going to have a learning curve. Hopefully Wentz works out so we don't have to see him play. But if he doesn't work out, then, yeah, we do have a young prospect coming up. And it's not like a Nate Sudfeld. No disrespect to Nate Sudfeld.
Right. No disrespect to Nate Sudfeld. Absolutely.
High levels of disrespect to Nate Sudfeld.
Right. But Sam's got a lot of talent. He's got arm talent, arm strength. I think he can throw guys open as well. So I think he legitimately can be a steal of the draft. Or if he doesn't have to play, then like Lou said, I think we could trade him for a 4th round pick or another 5th round pick. Just load up on some picks here. So I think it's a good play. I mean, and maybe he can get some of Diami's confidence up. Maybe he can help the young guy out and get Diami out there on the field more. So I want to see what he can do in preseason. So I'm excited to see what Sam Howell does.
Man from Judah. His name is Cole Kelly. He's like 6'8", and he looks like a fucking ostrich in the uniform. He walks like he has 2 left feet, but he has a rocket. And the main thing I saw in OTAs I watched Cole Kelly, Howell, and Wentz throwing next to each other. And then when Lil Heineke stepped up, I was just like, oh, bless his heart. I was so bless his heart. You watch 3 live arms next to each other. Y'all ever see Harlem Nights, the scene where they're all shooting Tommy guns and the dude just comes with a pistol and it's like, pew, pew. That's what it looked like watching Taylor Heineke throw next to 3 live arms.
Hey, y'all gonna stop dumping on my man Taylor Heineke. We know his arm, and it's crazy because they've been killing him the whole offseason. And every time they talk about Carson Wentz, what's the first thing they talk about? Arm strength and how, they always got to qualify their statement. Like, Taylor Heineke's such a competitor. We love what he's done for us. I'm like, you ain't got to do that shit. We already know. Like, Heineke know what it is. We already know what it is. You ain't even got to keep doing that.
He did that shit every time a mic was thrown in front of him. It felt like a goddamn eulogy.
Every time. Like, y'all don't, like, every time we heard from the GM during the Mark Mayhew during the draft, like, you don't got to keep doing that every time, bro. Like, we get it. Like, he doesn't have a strong arm. He's a hell of a competitor. You love what he did for us. You don't have to keep reciting that over and over again.
Great guy, man.
Great guy. Like,
legend of Taylor Heineke.
Mayhew was out here. He sounded like he was about to bring the flag to his door or some shit.
Right. Folded up in a nice little triangle, like, man, we're sorry for your loss. Like, why y'all got to do my man like this? He's still on the roster, too. Like, we might need him this year, man.
Hell yeah. I hope we don't, but we might need him, man.
I second that. But
knowing the history here, we might need them. Rico. Sam Howell, man.
Yeah, and just going back to Sam Howell, of course his arm, but another quality that he has that I really like about him is that he sees the field better than people his height normally do because he is a smaller guy. Now, first of all, it's kind of funny because he's closer to a Brian Robinson build than he is a Taylor Heineke build, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be a thing that we can just run him into the ground at the NFL level. I don't think that will work. Occasionally, but not into the ground. But yeah, I think my favorite thing about him, other than his strong arm, is that he has a better vision of the field that, normally people that are like 6'3" and higher have. He has that even at his height. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I hope we do not see him in the regular season. I mean, I guess maybe best case scenario, we see him for like a half in week 17 because we already got the playoffs locked up. I think that's the only time I want to see that man in the regular season.
I want to see Howell in the game 48-10. In the fourth quarter, I wouldn't mind seeing him get some opportunity that way. But yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Lou brings up a great point, man. Like I didn't think about that until he just said it, man. If we can somehow keep showing him greatness at preseason and we can finesse him into like a second or third round pick, I think that's perfect. I like Sam Howell, but ideally Carson Wentz is your guy because you gave up all of those picks, and hopefully he's our franchise quarterback moving on, so we don't have to keep going through this over and over again.
Right.
Hell yeah. The last position group I want to touch on is one that I feel like we don't talk about as much as we probably should, because apparently, according to Madden, we have an elite cornerback named Kendall Fuller. Do we have a number one corner on the roster? Who is the best corner on the roster? And are we going to use William Jackson correctly this year? I have no idea. And what does the depth look like behind those 3 guys? And why isn't anyone really talking about the cornerback position? Like, we have some bookend, lockdown, shutdown corners. Ed, let's start with you. What do you feel about the cornerback position?
I think it's a solid group. There's not a lot of depth there. We're expecting a lot from BSJ to make a jump. Him playing slot corner. We'll see what he can do. He's got long arms, long wingspan, good foot speed too. He's the only guy that can guard Jahan Dotson in practice. I thought he showed some flashes in a couple games, but the concussions missed a lot of the season last year, so that was unfortunate. So we're expecting a lot from him. Kendall Fuller, we don't have a cornerback number one. We don't have a guy who we could put him on an island and say, "Hey, go shut this guy down." We just don't have that. Kendall Fuller, he played really well. I thought he played well at times. Of course, advanced metrics have him rated really, really high, other than just Madden. I thought he played well in the second half of the year. William Jackson got better in the second half of the year too. he had a penalty in like every game in the first half of the year. It was either a holding or a pass interference. It was something ridiculous. Like
I was ready to fight him right before halftime against Tampa Bay when he got that face mask. I was ready to fight his ass. Like, yo, Will, square up, bro.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to blow this shit. Square up, bro. But you right, man. First half of the season, sheesh.
Yeah, and he's a real cool guy. Like even when he's getting burnt in the press conference, he'll like smile and laugh and talk and joke at the same time.
He likes to ride horses.
Yeah, he's super.
Yeah, he's real southern, real country.
Vibes,
he's real country like Rico, you know, like street scores down there in the South. But he's got to step up and play better. Is it on Ron and Jack for bringing him in when he's more of a man corner instead of just playing a whole bunch of zone? That is on coaching. That is on the front office. So I'll blame them for that. But he's got to play better. And behind them, I guess it's like Corn Elder. Is Torrey McTire still on the roster? Are they going to sign Danny Johnson still on the roster? I thought Danny Johnson did a good job last year.
Danny Johnson going to live
at times. Yeah, he's still on the roster. They've been connected to Joe Hayden. You know, Chris Harris is out there. We'll see if they bring another guy in. I doubt they do, but yeah, the depth it's a little concerning. It's a little concerning, but I think Kendall Fuller's played pretty well so far on his contract. But yeah, they do need some more depth.
Rico?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that the Benjamin St. Juste hype is real. I'm gonna have to see. I still personally feel like, even though he has elite agility for a guy his size, I'm still worried about him playing the slot. But apparently he's killing it in practice, and like Ed said, he's the only one that can really even attempt to cover Jahan so far this offseason. But I feel like naturally he's better off with an extra defender as the sideline to the side of him, so he can just cover one side. William Jackson, really the second half of the year, he kind of was holding down a third of the field to an extent. But I feel like that's because Jack Del Rio finally simplified things for him. I feel like Jack Del Rio tried to do that match coverage things, which a lot of elite secondaries are doing, like the Buffalo Bills. And William Jackson was just not ready for that at all. All he wants to do, just tell him which receiver to cover on the play, and that's all he's doing. He doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to worry about who's next to him or anything. So ultimately, like, match coverage is the better coverage if you can do it. It's the elite ceiling coverage. But if you don't know how to do it, if you can't communicate well, and your guys don't have rapport, it was William Jackson's first year. We signed Bobby McCain late in the offseason. It naturally wasn't supposed to work. And then Jack Del Rio basically says, all right, we'll just go back to what everybody does best. We'll simplify things. And that's when William Jackson started playing better. So I'm intrigued to see if Jack Del Rio is going to try the match coverage again. If not, we may see William Jackson look like how he looked in the second half. And then Kendall Fuller, I'm nowhere near as high on him as Pro Football Focus and Matt.
Me neither, bro. That first part of the season, that first quarter of the season was rough, bro.
But he will make some plays. I can't remember what game it was where he made one play in the red zone. Well, to me, that was his best play of the season. He broke up a pass.
It was the Seahawks.
The Seahawks, thank you. Yeah. And so I'm not expecting a lot of consistency out of him, but I'm expecting a solid showing out from those guys, especially if the front seven play well. And if we're playing with leads, I'm expecting better things out of them. But I think the biggest concern is easily the depth. I feel like the starters are solid, especially depending on what we get from Benjamin St. Juste, but the depth is what I'm the most worried about. Even though, like Ed said, Danny Johnson played pretty well last season. Second half of the season, he was starting the slot.
Hell yeah. Lou, anything else you want to do to say before to close out the segment?
Corner, I have a totally different view of the cornerback position. I've talked about it quite a bit as far as the depth is concerned, and the back end does concern me, but I think William Jackson III is capable of handling the number one duties. I thought he played really well the second half of the season. Literally after the bye week, I felt like we had a number one corner over there, William Jackson III. There were penalties here and there. I keep bringing up the face mask against Tampa, but outside of that, I mean, he was really good in the second half of the season, man, to the point where I was like, okay, it's awfully quiet over there. So Kendall Fuller, love Kendall Fuller as a number two, okay? I think he is one of the highest IQ football players on our team. I wish I could clone his IQ over the entire – I think him and Cam Curl get it. You could put those dudes anywhere in the secondary and they would be able to get the job done. It's the other dudes that I don't necessarily trust in terms of communicating and doing what you're supposed to do. But Kendall Fuller is a super smart dude. I love him in coverage. He competes. He's a dog. It's just, sometimes he's just a split second too late to react sometimes, but he's always right there. It's rare. Yeah, even the one where Mike Evans tossed him aside, like he literally tossed him aside. Like, I mean, he went to the official and showed him, like, yo, he pushed me out the way. Like, y'all got to call that. Like, he's generally where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. I love Kendall Fuller. Just not as a number one. I think he's the quintessential number two in this league. I myself love Juice as a boundary corner. I thought he was, before he got injured, he was the most consistent corner we had.
Facts.
Before he got the last concussion that put him out. Like, there was nothing going down. He was locking it up, as he likes to do. He was clanking it. And I was like, man, this dude is something else. And so to see him go inside, I still doubt that. I got to see it with my own eyes. I just can't buy it. He's such a big guy. It's so hard inside. And it's, the inside is different, So I got to see that with my own two eyes. I'm much higher on Danny Johnson than most. I felt like Danny Johnson, part of the reason we were so good against Green Bay is Danny Johnson was outstanding in that game. And it really made me upset. After that game, they asked Jack Del Rio the following week, do you feel the need to get Danny Johnson more snaps? And he was like, no. I was like, really?
That's Jack shit right there.
Like, really, Jack? Like, the guy balled out. We haven't had anybody play that well inside the entire season, and you don't feel the need to put him back on the field. So that was frustrating. But I think those four guys, if they view Danny Johnson in the same light that I do, and I don't know if they do or not, those four guys I feel like give us solid depth, right? What I worry about is, like last year, we had injuries. And now Torrey McTyer went down early in the season. Then William Jackson went down, and then Juice went down, and all of a sudden Roberts is in the game, and then Corn Elder is in the game. And you're like, yo, what the hell is going on right now? Who is 43? Like, you start getting randos on the field at the cornerback position, you're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, that's the part that scares me is after the fourth corner, who's the fifth corner? And yeah, we drafted Christian Holmes. He's interesting, right? They signed a couple of guys from the USFL. Channing Stribling is the guy that everybody's so enamored with. We'll see what he's able to do. Corn Elder is the leader in the clubhouse to be the fifth corner. Ron Preston. Yeah, hey, look, you know what it is. So I'm not sold on that group after Danny Johnson, but we'll see if someone emerges. Hell, who thought Torrey McTyer was going to make the football team before we got into camp last year, right? So maybe there's a guy like that comes out of nowhere, wows us, and we go, hey, this dude has to be on the roster. But I don't necessarily love the back end, but I'll take our four corners that we can put on the field. If they stay healthy, I feel like we got a pretty good group there.
Hell yeah, man. And my biggest concern of the group is St. Juice. I don't need him on the Jordan Reed track of concussions. I don't need it. That's a lot of concussions for a rookie. Right. We need to keep his head intact. If he can thrive as a corner, they're going to eventually get him on a boundary because he's just too good to not get him on the boundary opposite William Jackson at some point. But I think the cornerback position is solid. I don't know how the entire world is as high as on Kendall Fuller. He's solid. He's a very good, solid number two corner. Madden thinks he's one of the top 8 corners in the league. Bless their hearts. But William Jackson, he needs to return to his roots as more of a man press corner, and we need to stop sitting him back at the first down sticks on first down every possession and put some pressure on some folks. Dial up some of those Jim Haslett exotic blitzes. Mix it up on defense, and let's see these boys get after it. I got one more question for the panel, and we could call it a night. It's been an amazing stream, all good vibes. Everybody pulled up in the chat. The energy's been there. Make sure you smash like. We got 416 in the building. The NFC, we got the Super Bowl, the reigning champions, the Rams. We got Rodgers minus Devontae Adams, and we got the Buccaneers. After that, it's pretty much an enigma. Where do we fit into the equation in the NFC? And what is your final win prediction for the season? And are we going to the playoffs for the year? Rico.
I definitely see us winning. My prediction is 10 wins. Just including some variance for like maybe like a weird slow start. Maybe we lose to a team we're not supposed to lose to, but we beat a couple of teams that people don't expect us to beat. And I definitely see us going into the playoffs. I mean, we were like what, the 5th, 6th seed until we got hit with COVID and 5th string center and 4th string defensive ends, and like Lou said, we were out there with DBs where, I mean, we just knew their jersey number. We didn't even really know their name. And even Taylor Heineke was part of the COVID. I mean, we had, it just got everything derailed. And so I feel like if anything, the NFC got a little worse overall than last year. So I just feel like it's our time. Playoffs. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's playoffs or bust, but I mean, you won 7 games last year.
It is. Though.
You got to at least win 9 with this schedule, with the players, with the improvement. So yeah, I definitely have us winning 10 games confidently. And I can see a scenario where Carson Wentz is balling out, and my hot take I gave out earlier, where he ends up playing like the best quarterback in the division. I can see us winning like 12 games with the straight face.
Oh my God, I'm crying on stream when it happens, man. Crying.
Yeah, I got us going 9-8. I think you got Green Bay, of course. They're shooing Tampa, the Rams. So that's 3 teams. I think the Niners might fall off a little bit. I'm not the biggest believer in Trey Lance. I know they got a good team, but yeah, I mean, it's a big year for Ron. I think it is playoffs or bust. I don't know if he's going to get fired or not, but I think the offense is going to be way improved. The defense has got to step up. You got a lesser quarterback schedule. You got to take advantage of that. I think a big thing is Joey Sly is reliable. I think we lost a couple games on a blew it, not able to kick a ball over somebody who's 5'10". I think that loss is about 2 or 3 games. Yeah, we got to stay healthy. That's you can say that for every team, but you got a top. I think Carson is arguably a top 15 quarterback. So I think there's some games that he will us to win. And you got a better running game. You improved at the running back position with Brian Robinson, Jaden McKissic coming back. So I think you improved it in almost every aspect. But the defense just has to step up and play to expectations and take advantage of the lesser quarterback. So I got us going 9-8. I got us getting that last playoff spot. I got the Eagles being good too. I think the Eagles are going to be good. I think the Cowboys are going to be good too, as far as like record wise. I don't think anybody in the NFC East will win more than 10 games though, to be honest. So I got Arizona falling out. They were 11-6 last year. I think I got them barely missing the playoffs. So I think we're going to steal their spot. And I think we're going to be 9-8. I think we're going to get that last wild card spot. That's what I got us being 9-8.
I'll take it. I want double digit,
yeah.
but
I got Kyler Murray. He's going to be caught not watching film.
Oh yeah,
I got us taking the Cardinals.
Egregious contract language.
That's what I got.
That is some of the most ridiculous contract language I've ever heard. that is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, that's Jamarcus Russell language right there, man. Is that bad with Kyler?
Man, Lou.
Anything less than 10 wins would be uncivilized this year. Like, I'm not going for that shit. I want in to the playoffs, but I've been a long-suffering fan for too damn long. Everything is set up for this year for us to win 10 plus. Like, so I set the bar at 12-5. I was probably out of my damn mind, but that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, I want all the smoke. That's the energy that I'm pushing right now. I think 11 is really the magic number. But to Ed's point, you get to 9-8 because you don't win games against teams. Like, again, I hate even fixing my lips to say that we should beat anybody, because teams are looking at us like food, right?
Thanks.
So Jacksonville thinks they're winning 8-9 games this year. I guarantee you we're one of those damn 9 wins, right? Detroit thinks they're going to be vastly improved this year. They're going to win 8-9, maybe 10 games. You damn right they're going to beat us in week 2. So while we're looking at those teams with our napkin neatly tucked in our shirt, fork in one hand, knife in the other, ready to eat, they're looking at us the same damn way. Somebody's going to eat, right? So if I've said this already, we play 2 divisions that we need to feast on. And I think this division is going to. Ed said he doesn't think anyone's going to win more than 10 games. It's hard for me to buy that because of the teams we play in this division. You're playing the AFC North, the AFC South and the NFC North. you need to be 6-2 against that division, those two divisions combined, and
No
then you need to be
excuses.
4-2 in the division bare minimum. That gets you to 10 right there, and then you have an extra leftover game against Cleveland. So for me, when I look at and you have those extra leftover games, I should say, that we all play that's different. When you got Atlanta for us, you got to take advantage of Atlanta, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's things like that. You have to find a way to take advantage of these opportunities that are going to be presented to us. I see 12-5, 11-6. I talked about us beating Green Bay as one of my hot takes. Aaron Rodgers is winless in the regular season against us at FedEx Field. Tennessee is going to be tough. We're going to be tested on the ground this year. We play a bunch of teams that can run the damn football. And if we're having issues stopping the run and they got to go to that damn Bear defense where they're putting 5 defensive linemen on the field and got 8 dudes in the box, we could be in some trouble because if they pop one, it could be off to the races. So we got Tennessee, we got Cleveland, we got Indianapolis, we got the Eagles twice. We got teams that are going to run the football. We got San Francisco on the schedule. These are all teams that want to run the football. So it will be interesting to see how the defense holds up on that end. But from a quarterback standpoint, we won 7 games against Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, and I could go on and on. Derek Carr. It was ridiculous, right? And we won 7 games, even with, as Rico talked about, injuries and COVID absolutely depleting our roster. So if that's possible with what we put on the field last year, and I'm looking at this schedule and I'm saying there is no way in hell that it is okay, that it is acceptable to not win at least bare minimum. The floor is 10 wins this season, but I'm greedy. It's been since 91 where we've went 10 plus. That shit has to end.
11. We
A
need
wise woman once told me all good things must come to an end. This shit is not good, but it needs to come to an end. It comes to an end this year. I got us going 12-5. I just see us building momentum early in the season. There are a lot of wins. The schedule makers say, hey, I'm going to bless you. I don't know if you're going to take advantage of this blessing, but I'm going to bless you. Okay? Your first NFC East game is against Philadelphia. It's at the crib.
Week 3.
That's a gift. That's a gift in week 3 because if that was at Philly,
Detroit.
If that was at Philly, what? You know how tough that would have been for Carson Wentz going back to the scene of the crime? But he gets to play them once and get that under his belt, gain a little confidence. Then we go week 4 to Dallas. That's probably a game we lose, but hell, why not? I'm sick of Dak beating us. All right, so I look at that schedule and I'm saying we could easily get off to a 5-1 start, or we could do the Washington shit and lose to Detroit or Jacksonville, lose to Dallas and mess around and we look up and we're 2-3. We done lost to Philly, Dallas, and Jacksonville or Detroit. We 2-3. And but we beat Tennessee though, and we 2-3, and you're like, what the hell, man?
Like,
they gave us this start and we blew it. I don't think that's happening this year. I'm going with this is a new team, new name, new uniforms, new energy. That's the shit that I psyched myself up. New quarterback.
Hell yeah.
That's what I'm running with. So
this is that goddamn energy that I'm living on right now.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine a world where we don't win 11 games this year because I'm completely psyched myself into there's no way with this schedule, with Carson Wentz, with the weapons that we have, and the defense finally living up to expectations, that these motherfuckers are going to win less than 11 games. It's year 3.
Right.
Year 3. Ron took off in Carolina in year 3.
Yeah.
Years he misses the playoffs. He wins at least 9 games after it. There is no excuse for it. I want my 11-win season, goddammit. I was born in 91. It hasn't happened one time.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen one fucking time.
You got to sing that new fight song, man. If they go 12-5, you got to sing that new fight song.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the fight song, leaders on a mission or fight for our commanders? What side are y'all?
Oh my God.
Neither, bro.
It's pathetic either way, man.
That
I mean,
shit
you know how this is how bad it was. I was on socials and they were talking about, well, the old fight song was 5 syllables. Okay. If you go with, hail to our to the commanders, that's 6. How are you gonna fit it in? I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
I'm
Like,
so sick of all of this trivial shit. Like, honestly, like even the old fight song, that shit was dated as hell. The new fight song sounds like, remember in high school when like the fucking military comes to your class to try to recruit you to the army or the navy or some shit. It sounds like they got a JROTC group together and was like, let's try to convince these young boys to come to the military. That's what our fight song sounds like now. But it's been dated and sounds dusty and unseasoned for years. But I just hope we score enough points that we singing something in the goddamn stadium. I don't care what the mascot is. I don't care how the song goes. I'll sing it if you score points and you win some games. Fans show up to the goddamn stadium. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. They said we're the four tops of the football content industry. Condo P says salute to you guys.
Condo P.
Before we sign off, why does Jarris have smoke for you, Lou?
I have first of all, I don't even know who he is. Like, I mean, I was like, bro, coming at me trying to get a rep or something. I don't know. So, you know what was crazy? I was doing a show with my guy Tones, right? Mm-hmm. And he's in the comment section, you know, talking about he wants to smoke this, that, and the third. And I'm like, bro, pull up. Like, Tones was like, yo, it's open season. If you want to pull up, I'm dropping the link. Come here. He talking all this shit in the comment section. I'm like, bro, come at me. Where you at? He doesn't show up now. He's talking trash. I'm like, man, get out of here, man. Football's about to start. I don't have time for your shenanigans, man.
He said, who he play for?
Yeah, who he play for?
Man called him Lois, but man, appreciate y'all for coming there. Somebody says it's the Kids Bop version of Hell to the Redskins. I'm fucking weak.
Man, that song is black and white, man.
That's more past.
That shit, it definitely looks like some shit that should be on the TV that you gotta hit the turn on with the antenna bent and shit. But hey, man,
yeah, the mascot, we'll see. I don't really care, but
they're probably gonna force a fucking hog because they gotta pander to the boomers.
And it's gonna be a W with arms. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
I don't give a shit what
that's
they have as a mascot, what the song sound like. I just want to win games. I'll give
please.
Please. Hey, appreciate y'all for coming on. People know where to find you, but starting from left to right, starting with Lou, y'all go ahead and sign off. Tell the people where they can find you if they don't already know.
Hey, Rio, thanks for the opportunity and allowing me to bless the program. Louie T Network on YouTube is where you can find me. Also, I'm on Twitter at Louie T Network, also on IG, Louie T Network _. So you just type in Louie T just about anywhere and you'll be able to find me. So, man, I really do appreciate the opportunity, Rio.
Hey, appreciate you, my guy. Rico.
Yes, sir. You can find me on YouTube, Street Scores, STREET, space SCORES, and on Twitter, Street Scores ATL. Thank you for having me, Rio. Thank you, Louie T, Ed Oliver, and Rio. I always learn something every time I'm on any of y'all streams. Anytime, just let me know. And man, I'm just so ready to win games. I'm so ready.
Yeah.
Ed.
Amen. Yeah, so thank you for having me on. I just want to shout out to your setup. Everybody has a good setup in here, but man, you got the helmet, you got the official polo, like you should be on the sideline.
I'm telling you, that
Wentz,
crazy.
Rio looking like new money over there, man. I was like, hey, this Washington on the daily, might be changing that man's life over there.
Hey, man, we working over here, man.
Got Julie Donaldson on the channel for real, but no, you guys are doing your thing, man. Seriously, I got the notification bell on you guys. I hope everybody has a good season. This is where everybody grows, subscribers, money too. You know, I hope everybody, prospers in that on YouTube as well. It's a big avenue. I see you guys got sponsors as well. Everybody's doing Bet US. I see that in the corner. So shout out to Rio for that. That's big time. But yeah, you guys can find me at Oliver Commanders. You type that in the search bar. I do the Wizards too. I always say nobody cares about the Wizards unless we get Kevin Durant some way, somehow, which won't happen. But yeah, you can follow me on there doing Locked On Wizards, just DC Sports, all kinds of stuff. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity and hell to Commanders. Hopefully we get. I'm hoping we are 12-5, like you guys say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, if you're looking for some real estate, And the DMV,
Yes, sir.
man, hit your guy Ed up as well, man. Don't forget to put the
Appreciate
plug in
you.
there, Ed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, man. Oh, and shout out to the homie Ashley. That's my bestie over there with her fine ass. But we're going to call it a night, man. It was an excellent stream. The energy was amazing in the chat. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Y'all keep killing it. I love to see 4 black men out here on the forefront of this Washington Commanders content creator community. And I'm trying to catch up to y'all one day, man. We out here doing this thing. Keep applying pressure. Let's win some games so next time we do this shit, we could pop some goddamn champagne and shit. We may shed a tear or two, man. Until next time, hell to the Washington Commanders. Leaders on a mission. Fight for whatever the fuck it's going to be. Win games for the dummy. Deuces.
Yes, sir.